this might be live now.
You never know, that might be working. Is that working now? Have we got some volume? Yes. Am I too loud? That's the beauty of having a wireless microphone, that you can actually forget to turn it on, which I seemed to have done. Is it working now? Yes. Here we go. All working? Good. Volume levels okay? We can hear you? Good. Is it in sync? That is the most important part. Sound is good now. That was funny. Ah, dear. I tried to do something a little bit clever, and it backfired, as per usual. So, welcome everyone. It is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday, the 3rd of December, 2022. And first of all, I should say happy birthday to one of the viewers, William Bodie. Very happy birthday to you, sir. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Unfortunately, it sounds like you had to work today, which, well, welcome to mine and Cap's world. We work pretty much every single day of the year. Even Christmas Day is hard work. So, yes, I feel for you, brother. UglyBob says there's no sound delay. What is up? That's a very good question. It's, I dare say it, it's actually all going right. Dare I say it. Now, I should address, first of all, we have had some super chats in pre-stream. So I'm going to quickly address those if I can actually find them. So we had a £10 super chat from Mick Woods, who says, evening all, brr, freezing here. It's fucking boiling in here. I'm sweating like I'm changing a BIOS. It's ridiculous. It is currently 24.7 degrees Celsius, and it's dropped down a fair few degrees because we've actually turned, well, I say turned the fire off. We've stopped putting pallets onto the wood burner. It's bloody warm. I am literally, I had my hoodie on as well, and I was sweating cobs, as I think is one of the colloquial terms often used. There's another super chat come in. Oh, actually, and also thank you, Mick, for becoming a channel supporter. And thanks to all the other people that are channel members. You do get some benefits of being a member. Not a great deal, let's be fair, but you do get videos roughly about 2 weeks early. So, potentially, that might be something you're interested in. If it is, feel free to support us. It's relatively cost effective. I think it's like $3 or £4 or something, I'm not sure. But you do get a little bit of something for your money. And every now and then you might get a little bit of a special gift sent through the post. So it's always worth being a member. Where else was it? There was another super chat from UglyBob. Says disco, disco, disco. Christmas disco, disco, disco this week. And also we've had O'Reilly, who has renewed his membership. Member for 10 months. Thank you very much, O'Reilly. With Star Trek Disco. Actually, is that renewed membership, or is that just... You do get free super messages, I think, every month or every week, or I don't know. Maybe you get them all the time. I don't know. I'm not a member of my own channel, so I could not tell you. Lucky Man's also done the same thing, and he's sent in a super sticker. He's been a member for 7 months also. He says not doing bad at all. Good, good, good. I'd like to hear that. Where else? There was something else, I'm sure, that came in. Oh yeah, from Digital Demonic Davros. I love that name, I really do. There's $5 Australian, is that? ASD? I'm not sure. Now we have to listen to Mike. Cheers, geezer. Merry Xmas, and it's hot here in Australia. But it's damn hot here. We've got some sweaty nads going on right now. You probably didn't want to know that, but anyway. Oh, and as Lucky Man says, with another super chat, £2, sweat your Rolex off. Yes, I have been. It's going to go really cold now and I get a cold sweat, which is going to be awful. I'm not going to like that. UglyBob is on the vodka and orange tonight. That's one of your 5 a day. Technically. As long as it's not Cura or something. I don't think that counts. If it's real orange, I think you can go with that. I think that does work. And technically, vodka's made from potatoes, so that's a vegetable, so you might even push it at two of your 5 a day. Who knows? Thank you very much. Was there another super chat that came in then?
Yeah.
It's not shown on the screen.
It was.
What was that, Lucky Man?
Yeah. Oh, that was Lucky Man's, yeah. You did say that, didn't you?
I'm losing my mind. Anyway, good evening all. Hopefully you're all doing well. Yeah, hopefully the sound is working okay. I'm on the wireless microphone because we are going to be unboxing the case later, which was kindly sent to us by UglyBob. Bless you, UglyBob, in your potatoes and orange drink. We are going to be taking a look a little bit later on at the Aerocool Splinter DUO, which after last week's cheese grater nonsense, well, we're going to try and up our game a little bit and try and bring you something a little bit more entertaining, if that is even possible, because the cheese grating PC case, I think personally, as far as our streams go, is setting the bar. It's a relatively low bar, let's be fair, but we did set the bar with cheese grating the Aerocool Aero 1, which was, it was good fun. And if you're new here and you're not sure what the heck is going on, you're in good company, because I don't have the time. I'm Mike, Mike's Unboxing. Kath is over there on the hot desk answering your questions and relaying things, and if I miss anything, then just at Kath Churchill, and she will forward your messages on to me if I don't see them, or just put a Q if you've got a question, that sort of stuff. We do this live stream every Saturday at 8 PM, and I've worked out, well, roughly 8 PM, quarter past or some time around then, depending on the levels of technical difficulties we are incurring, and as long as I've obviously got my microphone turned on, which is, yeah, sometimes is the case, or it's out of sync or something like that. So we're basically just, we have a little bit of fun. Most people have had a very long week, and it's getting dark around the world in some places, obviously in Australia, etc. It's actually getting to be very nice out there, so I'm guessing their Christmas time is kind of their summer as well, whereas our summer is kind of middle of the year. Yeah, it's getting cold and dreary, so we're gonna have a bit of fun, have a laugh, answer some of your tech questions, go through some of the stuff we've received during the week, talk basically nonsense about stuff, and yeah, I think that is pretty much it. So yeah, if you're new here, don't expect too much. It is a Saturday, and this is our kind of wind down stream before I go back to work tomorrow in the shop, and then start it all over again on Monday. Happy days. Kath's got her hand up already.
Callum Young.
Callum Young. Hi Mike, quick question. What GPU do you use on your main rig? I use the same GPU on my main rig as I do on my streaming rig, which is the NVIDIA RTX 3060 Ti Founders Edition, which I did a video on actually a little while back, probably about a week or so ago. I think it's probably the best value for money graphics card you can get if you are doing a little bit of everything. So a bit of gaming, a bit of content creation, those sorts of things, streaming, because it does support that very well. So in my mind, that is the card to go for. Other choices, really, same sort of price point. RX 6700, the 10 gig model, is it? Maybe if you're lucky, a 6700 XT. And Kath's pointing at something there. Craig Lilly. The illustrious and elusive Craig Lilly saying, I get to watch an unboxing. Is that anything like watching a boxing match backwards? Potentially it could be. Craig, I have, or Kath has, sent you an email because you are a long-term supporter of the channel in memberships, either on Patreon or on YouTube members. We have got some Mike's Unboxing beanies, as modelled by the our lovely model here. So reply to your email, and one of these could be winging its way to you. Obviously, if you don't want one, just say, no, it's all right. I'd rather not look a complete Burke, but entirely up to you if you want one. And basically, like I said, if you're a long-term member or a Patreon, you do get some other perks other than the things which are mentioned actually on Patreon or in the YouTube members thing.
It was quite a while ago, probably a couple of months
ago.
It
was about a month or two ago. I've still got it on the board. There is someone else actually. Well, there's a couple of people that haven't replied to emails yet. So yeah, Craig, and look in your inbox. I might be in your spam. That happens a lot. There's something about unboxing which puts my emails into spam boxes. Unboxing or boxing is some kind of mechanical thing that they do on maybe oil rigs. I guess it's got something to do with maybe welding, industrial welding. Anyway, regardless, whatever it is, sometimes it gets put in the spam box. So do look in your spam box just in case you've had an email. So, where are we? That was the question answered. Awesome, yeah, that's done. Skystalker. Skystalker says, I love my toque. That is what the Canadians call a beanie, because they're all a little bit weird. You only have to look at Linus to know that. I joke, of course. Anyway, so today we're going to go through some things we've received, and actually that's a good timing for Skystalker. Sky kindly sent me this, or sent us this rather. This is from CyberPower. This is their UT650 series UPS. If you haven't got a UPS and you live in the UK or Europe at the moment, I would seriously consider getting one. It does appear that our electricity systems, due to reasons outside of our control, is basically going to get screwed up, and we are headed into snow in the next couple of days, apparently, although weather forecasters generally can't forecast yesterday's weather, let alone what's going to happen coming up. But potentially there could be snow, which means people are going to crank up their heating, turn on things that they wouldn't normally, dryers, that sort of stuff for washing, etc, etc. So potentially we might get power outages. And over here in the UK, we've got like a governing body which covers all the kind of electricity stuff. National Grid, I think it is, and they've said that potentially there could be power outages, of which they may not be able to give us any advance warning of. So if you've got a computer, maybe you've got a hard drive in there, an SSD, the last thing you need is for all of a sudden your power just to go and lose your data. Even worse, if you've got a NAS which relies on a mechanical drive, like we have here, if you've got 4 drives and they're running in RAID, the easiest way of absolutely wrecking your RAID array is ripping the power out. So we've actually got a different one, very similar to this, but same brand, which was an Amazon deal, which is Amazon branded, which we did a review on. But definitely get yourselves a UPS if you haven't already. It's an extremely valuable thing. And even better, this one that they've done now actually has, it doesn't have a massive amount of runtime, but it's got a lot of features in it which save energy. So it doesn't keep on charging the battery when it's full, it just switches off, which actually weirdly a lot of NASes don't. So this can save you energy, and basically it will pay for itself within possibly a year or so, possibly more, possibly less, depending obviously how much your energy costs. Ours cost, I wish I had a bleep button, a considerable amount of money. Yes.
Super chat.
Oh, sorry, super chat. UglyBob, sorry. I will quickly address that. UglyBob with a super chat. Some unknown number called me, sneezed and coughed a few times, then hung up. I'm getting tired of these cold calls. That's the level, ladies and gentlemen. That is the level. Oh dear Lord. That's quite good actually. Well done, Bob. Bless your heart. Yeah, so anyway, awesome. I've done an unboxing and a bit of a review on it already.
Poppy.
And there's Poppy. Hey Pops, say hello to the ladies and gentlemen. And trying to knock over the frickin' camera, because that is expensive and it will end up turning you into some kind of Christmas luncheon after meat. Anyone fancy a bit of cat? Oh dear. There's another super chat come in. I've just seen that quickly come in from Stuart Cleary. It says, hi all, just got in, had to drop the daughter to the pub. What did I miss? You missed the usual, me basically screwing up technology, not having my microphone turned on, and a brief intro. Most of it you know already. You didn't miss much, to be fair. UglyBob says, some shite jokes, mate. Yeah, that's about the score of it. It really is.
Poppy. That's my chair, not your scratch.
Where else do we get to? Amit says, thoughts on APC UPS B VX 2000 VA 1200 watt. Sounds awesome. As soon as you start looking at the wattages, that is the thing with these, depending on what the wattage is, like this is a 650 VA, which kind of means it can load up to about 650 watts. Realistically, in terms of wattage, it actually will work when it's turned off, or batteries, the electricity turns off, it's about 360 watts. So you can power things like a PC, a screen, maybe a NAS box as well, your router, possibly a switch, network switch, that sort of thing. So yeah, even the small ones, the sort of more budget-friendly ones, they're still relatively expensive. You're looking around about 50 quid for one of these, although bizarrely, every now and then, for some reason, this particular model goes on sale at ridiculous prices, here in the UK at least. I seen it, I think it was about a year ago, for $11.99, which clearly was obviously when something went wrong. Poppy, you're looking right down the barrel. She's murdering, isn't she? That's a nice bit of bokeh though, when it's focused on her. Look at the autofocus. To be honest with you, when it comes to the cameras and focusing, some cameras do it well, some cameras do it less well. And
show us how it's done, Pops.
Here we go. Poppy's going to be in the game. That sounded like Daisy falling off or something. Is it focusing on her now? I can't tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eventually.
She's like a meerkat. Little meerkat. Poppy,
Pops.
how about Foxtrot Oscar? Pops. Sorry. Oh, it just cracked me up. She is excellent. Poppy, you're a very funny individual.
Right, Poppy, down.
You better put her box up there or something so she can sit in her box. Oh dear.
Oh, she's going now.
I should have put it on human detect, not animal detect. Oh, she's going to sit on the box now, which I've got to unbox in a minute. The channel mascot, yes. Michael Thompson says Mike's looking a little bit hairy today. Yeah, I do need a shave actually. But I know it was Poppy. I get you. I get you. Michael Craig says, "Hi Kath, never apologise for Poppy. She's the real star of the show." Thanks. I'm not too sure how I'm going to take that, but I'll take it as is intended. Poppy is cute. Cuter than me.
She's the pet that we weren't meant to have.
She's cuter than me. Yeah. Anyway, so there is a review coming out on that. I strongly suggest, Kath's probably going to put the links for this in the video description. Probably not at the moment because she's got a face full of cough of tea. Cough of tea. Words is hard.
Coffee.
Coffee. That's the one. Anyway, so thank you very much, Sky, for sending that in. That is awesome. Surprisingly heavy as well, which is normally a good sign. Something I didn't mention actually, if you're looking at a UPS and you're thinking, well, there's a battery in there, so it's going to be like a mobile phone. Eventually, it's going to die. The battery will deteriorate after a while. This won't deteriorate as fast as others because of that split charging. So it's not going to overcharge the battery all the time. And I've looked up, you can actually get replacement batteries for this, and they cost somewhere around £20. So if you're thinking long term, how long you're going to keep this, you can keep it for years. The stock battery will probably last you somewhere in the region of 3 to 10 years, depending on your usage. Yeah, if you need another one, it's very cost effective and very easy to replace should you need to.
It's in the link.
So Kath's put that in the links if you want to be looking at one of those, which I strongly suggest. I'm actually going to end up, I am going to use this for the stream PC, just in case we get some outages. It's actually nice to have it to give some slightly cleaner power. I'm going to put a little shelf on the side here, where this little unit is here. I'm going to put it, it should fit in there perfectly actually. I'm not sure about airflow, but it should be okay. So I'm going to try and get it all in there. So I've got my little LEDs there so I know the status. That's going to be pretty cool. Other things this week, which we have got, obviously the case, which we'll be taking a look at shortly. I actually made some very classic cock-ups this week. I know you're thinking, Mike, surely not. You're semi-informed on these things and you don't make mistakes, not stupid ones, do you? I did, I made two. One of them is not a huge mistake, but potentially could be, depending on how things go price-wise in the coming weeks and months. I actually picked up a Ryzen 5 4500, which is basically a 4600G with the graphics disabled. So to start off with, it's not great in terms of something like a 3600 or a 5600, but at the moment these are coming up on sale for about 75 quid, which I think in terms of value for money is awesome. And it's about time that AMD actually had something sensible in that really low price range. So if you can't go to maybe 100 or 130, where you can pick up things like the 5600G or the 5600, or maybe even squeeze in a 5600X, or maybe a 3600 if you still find those around, 75 quid is awesome. Now the trouble is going to be with this, it is PCI Express Gen 3, so you do have a little bit of a limitation there. But the biggest contention at the moment is trying to get hold of a cost-effective or a sensibly priced motherboard. And that's on AM4 and AM5 at the moment. AM4 boards, even what I would consider the kind of entry level, or I'll just say it as it is, the crappy boards, something like a A320M, they're still in the region, well, they're starting to creep up to like 70, 80 quid for an A320 board. Whereas maybe about 2 years ago, we were almost routinely being able to pick those up for about 30 quid, maybe 20 quid used. Things are changing for motherboards. Now it does appear, and I have heard this from relatively informed sources, that because silver, you know, the stuff that comes out of the ground and is made into things like ornaments and jewellery, etc., loads of it is used in PC manufacturing. like lots of it. And silver apparently is becoming extremely hard to mine, or is less plentiful, let's say. So motherboard manufacturers which use a lot of silver in production are struggling, and they're paying more, and that's bumping up the prices as well as everything else in the world at the moment. So not only have we got our usual constraints of basically the things that are going on in the world at the moment anyway, now we appear to be running out of silver as well. So there goes motherboards for a little while, because if you, well, look at a motherboard. If you look at things like solder and basically the way it's made, there's a lot of silver in there. There's copper in there as well, and there's all sorts of other minerals, but copper is used quite a lot in manufacturing. So yeah, motherboard prices may not be getting much better anytime soon. So anyway, that was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, this is a classic, and I do this all the time, and that is I go over to our Discord chat and I look in the deal section that people kindly post, especially people like Mookie and See At Night, various others, UglyBob, Dave Aitken, many others. I'm not leaving anyone out deliberately, it's just the names that are coming to my head. And there was a deal on for the Captain Robius, thank you. Hey?
He does lots.
He does, yes, you're absolutely right.
UglyBob.
I did say UglyBob.
Okay.
Kingston Fury Beast DDR4 3600, 16 gigs, £46 I think it was. And I thought, right, I've got my cheap ass CPU in the basket, might as well stick some RAM with it so I can put together a relatively cost effective little machine. And when it turns up, as you can possibly see already, this is just one stick. So I bought a single 16 gig stick of Kingston Fury. Now actually this made me furious, hence the Fury name. I think that is very apt in this particular instance. Now I've always been quite a proponent or a champion of CCL in terms of their clearance section, etc, etc, and always had very good service. So literally I placed the order and it went through, got confirmation, blah blah blah. Fortunately, one of our other Discord members, Matthew Day, pointed out a single stick of RAM, question mark, and I'm like, oh shit. So I look back at my order, it's like, oh yep, well spotted. I didn't even see that, I've just assumed it was 2 times 8 gig. So I got straight on the live chat to CTL and said, here's my order number, I've ordered this RAM by mistake, can I please swap it out for 2 8 gig sticks? No problem, Mike, we'll take a look at that now. And they're like, well, sorry, it's already been dispatched. I was like, well, it hasn't been dispatched because I can see in the live update that it's been picked and it's been packed. It's not actually been dispatched. It's basically in the side of the warehouse waiting for DPD to collect it. So it's physically there in front of them. They could, if they wanted to, pulls the order, pulled it off the shelf and did whatever, but no. So that pissed me off. The fact that it was physically there on their premises, and they could send someone to pick it up and open the box or just stop the order, but they wouldn't do it. So they said, sorry, what you'll have to do is wait for the delivery to be delivered, and obviously then if you want to, you can return it. So I'm thinking, okay, that's what I'm going to have to do. So it turns up and then I try and return it, and then they've got me jumping through hoops to try and return it. You can return, there's distance selling regulations in the UK, so if you want to send something back within 7 days, you're well within your rights to do so. First of all, they're saying, right, now you've got to pack it up, you've got to put all this RMA details on it, and you've got to pay for the shipping and insure it, because if it goes missing, it's down on you. And this is what gets me and super reinforces the thing with Amazon. Now, I know Amazon is a massive conglomerate, and they're taking over the world step by step. They're killing the high street and they're killing other sort of retail outlets. But it's for good reason. It really is. If I had the same thing with Amazon, I could cancel the order. Chances are they'll just cancel it and they wouldn't send it. Or alternatively, if I want to send something back, I just go online, click on don't want it, return it. They'll give me a returns label.
That's if you've bought it directly from Amazon.
There are limitations, yeah. So I can put it in a box, stick a label on it. I can either walk up to the local post office, post it, and it's basically insured by them. As soon as they scan it, I'll get an email or a thing on my app saying your parcel has been returned, here is your refund to your balance, blah, blah, blah. That is the reason why Amazon are killing the high street. I don't like the way Amazon are doing it, but it makes sense to shop through Amazon. People always go on to me, Mike, why are you using Amazon? It's bad for the environment, bad for whatever, bad for other shops. It is, I get it. And they're not always the cheapest. But the customer service in general is impeccable.
But if the other places didn't have to pay tax, maybe they would be better.
Well, they have to pay tax. Yeah, that's. I will get back to that. But you can't do a hot take like that and not expect something back. So Kath just said, if you didn't hear it, yes, but Amazon don't pay tax. Now clearly they do pay tax because they have a legal requirement to do so. They are in the position where they can choose, obviously, depending where they are and what they have going on, they can offset massive amounts of tax. Now, you can do that, I can do that, other companies can do that if they want to. It's not entirely ethical, but it's not illegal. And that is where there's a big difference. Now, people can jump up and down and shout and scream and say Amazon don't pay tax. They pay what they're legally having to. Now, there may be other things going on. Obviously, they've got deals with, I think it's in Ireland. As with many other companies, Microsoft as well, they get certain tax breaks for being based in a certain location. It happens. Yeah, you may say it's unfair or it may be unethical, whatever. Maybe it is, but they're not breaking the law. So I will stick my neck out and I will stand up and say, yes, you should, if you can, use Amazon, if it makes sense. Because in a lot of times it does and it saves you aggro. Like, the time and effort I'm going to now have to spend to try and send this back is time I could be making videos or doing other things like actually having a life, which is unlikely, but it's just, yeah, this is why sometimes it doesn't always make sense to not use Amazon. Anyway, there we go. That was my second mistake. It was my mistake. I don't obviously see that CCL or any other company for that reason why they should take the fall for my mistake, but some level of flexibility, even if they swap this out for the 2x 8 gig version, it would have actually cost less, so they would have made more profit. But because of their rigid ways, they refuse to do it, which pisses me off. Anyway, moving on. There was a super chat from Bob, which
Was there?
I think you did say that or something.
No, I said William Bodie.
Oh, William Bodie, sorry. What did William Bodie say? Or is it a super chat? What's going on?
Is the RAM you need DDR4?
Is the RAM I need DDR4? Yes, it is DDR4.
And then Dutch Jan can't get into Discord.
Dutch Jan can't get into Discord? Why?
But they've been on there before, haven't they?
Yeah. If you find Dutch Jan and just add them to members.
How do I find? I don't know.
If you go into the side members in the settings. No, right click on our server on the left hand side.
Yeah.
And then down to settings, I think it is, or
server settings.
Sorry about this. Yeah, server settings.
Members.
Members, yeah. And then at the top you can search for a user. As long as their username is the same as their YouTube one. If you put in Dutch, it should come up, I think.
They're on there.
They're on there. Right click on them. Or edit them. Or just click on them. Might be able to do it from there, I'm not sure. Roll.
Disable video, change nickname, timeout, kick, bam.
Roles. Oh, they are.
Member, newbie.
Add on. They got member and newbie.
Yeah.
Don't know why you can't get in then. That's very strange. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, so talking about the RAM. So what I'm going to do is actually, I was going to upgrade Kath's computer anyway. So what I'm probably going to do on Monday is I'll go back on, I'll get another one of these. So I've got a dedicated matched pair and I'll put it into Kath's computer and I will, as like Amazon, I will claim it against my taxes because Kath's computer is a work computer. Boom, there we go. Problem solved.
That's Jan's in now.
Jan's in, awesome.
William Bodie again.
William Bodie, do Mike want silver or black colour RAM? Sorry, honestly, don't worry. I'm gonna figure it out one way or the other. I might just send it back. I don't know. I'll sleep on it and I'll see how I feel on Monday. I've got an RMA label that I could do, and to be honest with you, I could do with a bit of exercise going to the post office.
I hate going there.
So there we go. Also this week, this was a really good deal. Crucial's new P3 range of M.2 drives. This was a 2 terabyte drive, and I think it was about £110, maybe £115 for a 2 terabyte, which actually is really good. At the moment, a 1 terabyte drive is about 60, 65, maybe 70, so you get a little bit cheaper. But 2 terabytes of M.2 storage for like 100 quid or so is excellent. But I have got a build coming up, which I may well be using that in, although potentially that will be going into another piece. Yeah, you'll find out. You'll all come along for the ride, one way or the other, whether you like it or not. Now I've got something in my eye. It's not my eyeball, it's something additional. Right, so let's have a look at your comments and questions. What have you been saying?
Blamey, I'm going to have to get up, don't I?
William says, I got them and only used 2 of them. The others I can't send. Oh, I don't know. Amrit says, waiting for the case. I know. Lucky Man says that Gen 3 or Gen 4. It's a Gen 3. Maximum speeds are 3500 read. And I guess it doesn't say... Oh no, read. It doesn't say the write speed. I'd imagine the write speed is going to be about 2700 or 3000. There's normally a bit of a drop off. Get a 5-year warranty as well, which is pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure that I'm falling for the hype that is PCI Express Gen 4. Especially when it comes to storage drives. Yes, if you're doing massive transfers, it does make a bit of sense and a bit of difference. But overall, I think even just a normal regular SSD, a SATA-based SSD at 500 megs per second is absolutely fine. But yeah, some people like those, some people don't. Anyway, so those were my mistakes of the week. What else was there? There was something else that I had to say. Matthew Day says DRAM-less or QLC. From what I can remember, it's TLC, but I don't think it's... I think they actually use some of the onboard storage sort of pre-allocated for like level 1 transfers or cache. I'm not entirely sure. To be honest with you, I bought it. It was a bit of a whim. It seemed cheap. It's Crucial. It's a reputable brand, so I figured I'll just get it. And I've had some really good drives, and I've had some really bad drives, and realistically, they all seem to perform very, very similar to each other. But anyway, that is what it is. William Bodie, I'll let you know. I'll drop you an email, or drop me an email and explain. My brain might have recovered somewhat. It's been a bit of a week. We've had some, let's say, external pressures on us this week, which have made things a little bit stressful. So this week has been, we got to this point of the week where we've been living on a little bit of a kind of emotional energy, and it's got to the end of the week now, and that's kind of ebbed away now. So it's like the adrenaline's not flowing as much, and the stress levels have dropped slightly. So it's all slightly lower energy now. And there's something in my eye still, and it's driving me mad. Michael Craig says, new question, will changing an M.2 drive from one slot to another be okay, or will I need to reformat? Just check in. You should find this just a matter of plug and play. You may need to go into your BIOS and change your boot order if you've got more than one drive. If you've only got a single drive, generally most motherboards these days will pick up which drive has something physically on it, and it'll try and boot from it. But yeah, you may need to actually change it. William Bodie says, just say silver or black. Black. Always bet on black, as Wesley Snipes says. Please, thank you, sir. UglyBob says, at Michael Craig, I usually reformat the destination drive before migrating. That's a good decision, and but you should be okay if just swapping. Yeah, if you're not sure, go over onto the Discord and we can help you out. Nick Barnes, question, Mike, why is the CPU a mistake when it's new and better value than buying off eBay? Say a first-hand Ryzen 3 or 5 for the same money. Yeah, the mistake really isn't the processor. I'm not really knocking the processor. It's kind of, I've bought it, but now I've got to try and find a sensible budget-based, ideally B450 motherboard to actually pair it with. Now I have actually got my B450 MSI Gaming Pro Carbon Wi-Fi. But I feel that that processor may not quite do the board justice. I don't know, let me know what you think. So I potentially might go with that. I don't know. I've got a few things which I'm kind of toying with the ideas of what to do build-wise, so we'll see what happens. And of course now we've got the case from Bob come through, which we will be needing to do a build-in at some point also. So I may have to, yeah, motherboards. Motherboards are really tricky at the moment, trying to get hold of a decent motherboard. If you live in the UK, or for that matter in the European Union, and you find some decent motherboards on Amazon, either warehouse deals or brand new, please do let us know. Post them in our Discord, or if you aren't a Discord member, just hit me up with an email, mike@mikesunboxing. It's down there at the bottom. And let us know. If you see, yeah, I wouldn't mind even, I guess even A320s, I would consider if they were cheap enough, but they're going to have to be quite cheap. And if there's actually any motherboard manufacturers out there watching, such as ones which we don't cover very much, such as BioStar, Gigabyte, ASUS we do a little bit of, MSI we do a bit of, who's the other one? God, brain's gone. BioStar, Gigabyte, ASUS we've done, MSI we've done quite a lot on. I think it's just BioStar and Gigabyte. Oh, ASRock. How could I forget ASRock? Yes. So ASRock, Gigabyte and BioStar. Here's your chance. If you want to be featured on our show, send us a review sample. Something which will work very well with this particular processor. And something which is cheap. Because people want cheap these days. We're pissed off in general with the prices of motherboards at the moment. So let's find something cheap. I've actually had a look on AliExpress for cheapo stuff on there. And I'm kind of tempted to some of these kind of really off-brand ones. But then if anything goes wrong, you've got to send it halfway across the world, etc. And RGB support and drivers, and yeah, it's off-brand boards are okay, but they do come with their drawbacks. So we do want to be careful with that. Anyway, let us know if you see anything.
Careful, Poppy.
Oh, Poppy, go away! If you spill that cup of tea, I'll make you into a hat.
She would make a good rash.
She would make a good hat, to be fair. She's got good colouring. Don't bite the HDMI cable. It is bad.
Give Grumpy a kiss.
Talking of HDMI cables, for those of you that haven't watched it already, this weekend I actually watched a video from Linus Tech Tips about a product called OpenAI and their AI chat-based thing. And it is absolutely insane. There are some examples of it actually on our Discord in the general chat. It's so terrifying how seemingly good their AI is now these days. You can literally type in kind of anything you want and it will come back with a pretty decent answer or some code, a script,
maybe they should
whatever.
Put Google Home on it.
Yeah, they should do actually, yeah. It was mental. Earlier on, I asked OpenAI chat, can you write a script for a Mike's Unboxing YouTube video on the current GPU market? And it went off and it actually found the information and basically gave me a script, a breakdown script with different little segments in it, which I could have made a YouTube video from. And that was terrifying.
You mean ChatGPT?
ChatGPT, that is ChatGPT, which is done through, is it OpenAI? I'm sure it is. But yeah, it was a real eye-opener. And there's certain things you can ask it to do, and like create code or ask it to write a code to merge spreadsheets and all kinds of things. Poppy Dora, what are you doing? Go on, you going to sit there? Go on, sit down. Just stay away from the escape key. I'll move that out of your way. There you go. You sit down there?
Just here on that escape key.
Is that all right? Not the space bar. Don't be hypnotised by the lights. Oh dear. Chris Goddard says the wife has gone to watch East 17 tonight. So it's beers and gaming tonight. Happy days. SPG33 says, yes, that AI stuff is insane.
That's still got Brian in it.
It is absolutely insane. Yeah, is it E17 featuring Brian Harvey, or is it something else now? While Bill says, I have a Gigabyte B450M DS3H for 50 quid on Marketplace. I use it for about half a year. Bought new off Novatech. That's not bad. I know you could get them new for somewhere around that sort of price, but these days, that's actually great. Pops. It's you. Oh, that's an infinite point. Alright, have a scratch. Alessa says, my cat likes to sleep on my keyboard. Every novel that I would ghostwrite comes with a pound of cat hair for free. Awesome.
Maybe she doesn't need to ghostwrite anymore. She could get someone else to ghostwrite for her.
Shrek says, OpenAI script is probably more coherent than some of your YouTube compatriots. It really is genuinely very good. Right. Yeah, Aletta, you could use the OpenGPT or OpenAI thing. You could probably get it to write your novels. It's actually, I did it earlier.
Without.
Can you please write a 1,000-word essay on the what was it? The American independence, or the whatever it was, the Constitution, the American Constitution, for a 10th grade exam. And it just like you press enter, it's like come out, it's like wow, that's impressive. There's your homework done. Now the thing is, it is very confident with what it says, but at the same time it can be extremely confident but also still be wrong. So you do have to proofread this stuff before you say it. Anyway. Oh, Pops, no. R18.
She's doing it away from the camera. She could be facing the other way. Oh, Poppy, no.
No, not that.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, that's all right. Seductive little bitch.
I do say she uses that camera like she's on OnlyFans.
Dutch Jan says Prime A320M-K CSM €50. That's kind of in where, yeah, a little bit lower it needs to be, I think, for an A320. 30 to 40 maybe.
Dave Aiken's asked, what do you think of Mike's unboxing Saturday live streams?
David Aiken, I think Mike's unboxing Saturday live streams are interesting and entertaining. He has a great selection of products to unbox, and enthusiasm for the products is infectious. Is that from OpenAI?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, on the line above. Yeah, just asked it, what do you think of Mike's unboxing Saturday live streams? It's bizarre how it trains itself and picks up that stuff. Absolutely incredible.
UglyBob.
Alexa says, I doubt any AI software has my dark humour and sarcastic wit. Now that's the thing, if you go into the Threads version of it, you can actually tailor things down. So if it comes out with a response, you can say, can you make this a little darker? And it will make it a little bit more darker. Or if you say, can you do this but make it more humorous, it will add elements of humour to it. So it's kind of, it's an evolving thing. It's amazing how they do it. It's terrifying as well. Obviously, Skynet is upon us. It's not going to take long. And if they're incredibly wrong with their decision, it could go incredibly badly. But anyway. Sean says, just ordered this case on Friday, was due to arrive today, but Yodel didn't turn up. No surprises there. Looking forward to you going through it. Awesome. Mr. E says, Mike, have you had any experience with Aerocool coolers? What are your thoughts on them? I haven't, to be fair. At least I don't think I have. If I have, it isn't particularly memorable. O'Reilly says, has the OpenAI watched all of Mike's unboxing YouTube videos? If so, it might have accessed the transcript which YouTube does and very much learned how to impersonate Mike. Yeah, it was weird. They did it for Linus, and they said, do a video script in the style of Linus Tech Tips. And it actually said at like the end of the video, about like, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one, all that kind of usual stuff that he says. I was like, that's terrifying. But then he can sack all of his writers now and he'll keep a load of money. So that's awesome. So yeah, we might, I'm tempted actually to do a live stream at some point just using OpenAI for possibly fun, laughter and responses, and just see if I can get it to respond to your tech questions. Linus Tech Tips actually asked it, what would you do if your computer was not showing a display? And it went through and said all this stuff about reseating the graphics card, checking your graphics card on another monitor to make sure it's not the monitor, and all this other stuff. And it's like, there's IT support jobs gone. It's very good. Very impressive. UglyBob says, I wonder if the other cats are jealous of Poppy's on-screen time. No, they're all too bloody stupid. They don't care less, do they?
Flame's happy on my lap.
Flame's there, he's alright. He's got a bit of a hair problem at the moment, much like me. So he probably doesn't want to be on camera because of his hair issues.
Maisie's just too lazy.
Yeah.
Daisy likes
Maisie's literally hardly moved all day. I have to prod her to make sure she's not dead.
She's always been a bit like a stuffed cat already, hasn't she?
Yeah. Dave says, just asked it. David Thompson says, it's not real AI, it's a sweatshop of workers in a Chinese prison camp. You never know. I think it works way too fast. Shrek says, it starts as a joke, but what happens when you realise OpenAI makes YouTube easier? It probably will do already. To be honest with you, I've put stuff in there and it's like, it words it better than I do, more concisely. So,
but you don't read scripts, though.
Yeah, I don't use a script as such, so I make notes about stuff. Like if I look on the board behind me over there on the wall, there's 2 boards which have got like bits on which I actually take information from. So when I was doing a skull shaver video this week, and I just made notes there like the gold and the Platinum Pro use the Forte blades, the Carver blade is on the palm. They've got 9 types of blades. There's a foil and nose trimmer, that sort of stuff. They're just little pointers, just so that if I forget while I'm going along, I just look at the board, which I normally have underneath the camera. So my eyes will dip down a little bit, and then I'll read it, and then it's all good. O'Reilly says, can OpenAI write an academic dissertation? It appears to. It does appear to. Andre says, Poppy is absorbing all of the RGB out of the keyboard again. It's going to run out. Oh, no. Oh, she's going to sleep. That's right. Right, it says it would be a good time to insert ads, so I'm going to insert an ad now, and I'm going to grab the box and we'll start having a look at this case. So, feel free to watch the ads and click on stuff. It's good for the channel. For those of you that are using ad blocker or whatever, hi. And
so what happens if you don't play an ad? You just stay on it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have an ad blocker or you're on YouTube Premium, it just carries on seamlessly. The ads don't kick in.
Look at Wild Bill's.
Well, Bill, maybe Biden should start using OpenAI. That would make a significant difference.
You'd have to be able to read it.
They should actually plug it straight into his brain. Then, my friends, Skynet will begin. James Brock's added a like. Thank you, James Brock. If you guys want to be like James Brock, don't be shy. Hit the like button. You know it makes sense. Aletto says, is OpenAI free? Well, it is, as it currently stands, it is in a beta. So don't beta. Don't expect miracles.
I know, but I've got to turn the lights on off flame.
UglyBob says, ad blocker, I'll have you know I'm a premium user and a MUB supporter. Bless you, sir. Bless all of you. Aletta says, way to go, Brandon. Yeah, that's right. O'Reilly says, I still see Mike, so while the ads are on, Mike won't see if his nads are in a cold sweat or need realignment. It's all sorted. Thanks, James Brock. Liam Kelly says, I'm thinking of selling my old Palette RTX 2060 Storm X. Is £200 a good price? Kind of seems like it at the moment, although saying that, there was, I did see today, there was, oh, I can't remember which brand it was. There was one brand of GPU on Amazon for, I think it's about 220, maybe 215 or something, for an RTX 2060. I think it's quite a basic model without a top plate, but they are coming down in price. There's Tumbro with a super sticker. Thank you very much for your $3 Canadian. Much appreciated. Shrek OC says, I'm being a good citizen and watching and clicking the ads. Good for you. You will now get your, what are they called? What's the points you get?
Oh, social credits.
Social credits. Your social credits will be unaffected. For those of you that didn't click on the ads, your social credits will be deducted at the end of the financial year. Week, day.
Dave Aikens, how does Mike's unboxing feel when he spends over £100 on a piece of technology? Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
Feels likely feels excited and a bit anxious when he spends over £100 on a piece of technology. He likely wants to make sure he has made the best decision and is getting the most value.
Wow. See how good is that for OpenAI? Or
good.
Whatever it is.
It's quite scary.
It's scary, but it's like awesome, because you could say like, what would my wife like for Christmas? And they'd be like,
Get Dave Aiken to ask him that.
Dave, ask OpenAI or whatever chat it is, ask it what your partner wants for Christmas.
Ask what Mike's unboxing would want.
It'll probably come out with some very generic response, won't it? Hopefully it's not going to say world peace. Because that's a little bit cliched. UglyBob says she would like the antidote for Christmas. Our meat says, finally the moment of truth, the case. Right, I'm going to be ignoring your chat very quickly. If you've got any questions about the case itself, please do ask. Put a Q in front of it, Cap will pick it up and point it out, and I will answer your questions on the case. Because obviously this is what the stream is supposed to be about, so we want to get that done. So this is the Gamemax.
While Bill keeps his social credits as well, because he leaves the ads on.
Thank you, Bill, for keeping your social credits intact. I said Gamemax, it's not Gamemax. That was a Freudian slip. This is the other Gamemax company, known as Aerocool. They're not related. I should point out, I'm just, this tongue-in-cheek, I'm not, it isn't a thing. Aerocool Splinter RGB. I'm sure this is the split. Actually, there's a Splinter and a Splinter Duo. So what is the difference? Is it the same thing? Somebody might want to look that up for me. Actually, ask OpenAI, they'll probably know. What is the difference between the Splinter and the Splinter Duo? I don't think there is. I think they're the same case. Aerocool do some weird things. Yeah, see, on the box, Splinter, ARGB mid-tower case, RGB addressable, blah, blah, blah. It says what it is on the tin. But no, you'd be mistaken, because on the side, on here, if you can just about make that out, it says Splinter Duo GBK V1. So this is the version 1. So Splinter Duo is basically the same thing. So if you're looking up one, you see another. In fact, you'll probably find on Amazon and other shops that if you search for the Splinter or the Splinter Duo, you probably get 2 different prices. It's weird how that works. Yeah, it is meant to be the Splinter Duo. Featuring a unique... right, let's highlight the bullshit on this a minute. Where's my Mike's unboxing pen? I haven't got one. Right, I'll just point it out, it's easier. So featuring a unique ARGB front panel. I don't know whether it's going to be unique. That might be pushing things a little bit far. A clever or a unusual might be.
George used to get it for his homework sheets.
This high performance, is that spelled right? Yeah. High performance case delivers a sleek and stylish look and feel. Includes a 6-port RGB control hub, which is wrong because it's ARGB, not.
James Brock's off.
Cheers, James. Allowing you to access 16.8 million colours using compatible addressable RGB motherboards. Mesh front panel design improves airflow and allows for viewing of your front LED fans. There you go. So it's tempered glass, doesn't include a PSG or anything, and it is in black. Apparently there is a white version as well, interestingly. On the side, this side, you've got all the specifications. So it is a mid-tower case made from ABS and SPCC. The steel thickness is 0.5 mil, standard kind of stuff. Supports ATX, micro ATX and mini ITX. The dimensions are 210 by 519 by 404. That's width by height by depth. You can put two 3.5 inch drives in here maximum, three 2.5 inch drives maximum, and you've got 7 expansion slots, GPUs up to 326 mil, CPU height cooler up to 161 mil, which actually, considering this is exactly the same chassis as the Aero 1, I'm sure that said 160 mil. So you gain an extra 1mm with the same chassis because they've changed the front panel. Cool. Air cooling, yeah, 3 fans up front, 2 at the top. Usual kind of deal. I think that's pretty much it. 360mm radiator you can fit on the front, 240 on the top and a 120 on the rear should you want to. 24mm cable depth for cable management. And you can install an ATX PSU up to 166mm optional. I think the power supply isn't optional. I think you do have to have one. I'm not sure what the optional means when it comes to that. So including cables optional. I don't know. Anyway. Yes, Kath?
You could always try one of the lesser known Chinese brand boards off eBay or AliExpress and machine it.
Okay, yeah.
And then you put the box down to the height you can.
Put the what?
Box down, I think.
Oh, right. Trying to get a static shock. Now this, if you watched last week's stream, which hopefully you did, you will notice that this is basically exactly the same chassis as the Aerocool one. I've said it already, I'll say it again, I'll probably mention it more than once because, well, I'm not using AI, so I'm not perfect. I'll forget what I'm saying. So, removing all the shrink wrap stuff. There we go. And
I don't know if
I like this case layout, I really do.
I don't know if Craig Lilly saw it, but I said just email us his name and address. You can verify his email.
Yeah.
What we've used.
Yeah.
Say it out loud.
Craig, yeah, just send us your email. We can verify.
No, send us your postal.
Oh, send us your postal information. You can do it for if you're a member on. Is he on Patreon?
Don't think so.
If you're on Patreon, I've sent you an email from within Patreon. If you're a member, I would have sent it directly to your email address. I think it was.
Think it's an email,
it must have been. Yeah, it must have been Patreon. Because you can't get emails from membership, can you?
I don't know. Some people did have it listed, didn't they? But not everyone.
Might be. I might have picked up your email address from your YouTube account, possibly. Anyway, digress. So this is the Aerocool Splinter DUO. Oh, I don't know why they call it Splinter. I don't quite understand the Splinter or the Duo for that matter. You think Duo normally means 2.
Maybe it means split, but that line down the middle.
It is split, so that would be, it has splintered the front panel with RGB. So maybe that is where it comes from, I don't know. But you've got a similar sort of thing as you had on the other case, so you've got some carbon fibre-esque side panels there. The centre bit is sheet metal, much like the cheese grater on the other one. This one actually might do a better job of cheese grating. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I might. So the front panel comes off by, you can just pull the front panel off. And sadly there is going to be something still connected to it because obviously there is an addressable RGB strip a la front, which I'm not entirely sure if I like or not. I probably will do once it's done. And the airflow on the front isn't going to be exceptional because it is going to be a little bit restrictive, but because there's so much of it and the fans are going to be a little bit further back, it is going to be, it'll be fine. It will drag air in, but there's no real filtration there. There is a magnetic filter which you can put on the back, which actually is there. So you could either put that in front of your fans, if you have fans in there, or if you have them front mounted, obviously you could stick it around the other way and put it behind. I'm not a big fan of these, as I've probably told you a million times before. They're fine for putting on top of a PC, for stopping things falling into it, if you don't have something there exhausting, but otherwise these are pretty much trash. But some people like to use them, I personally don't. So you see there is mounting options here for 3 120mm fans. You could put 2 140s in if you want to, here and here. It wouldn't go down much further. You'd struggle to get 3 in there, I think. Actually, I just noticed there is actually a latch at the bottom there. So they are intending for this filter to go in there. There is actually somewhere for it to hold in place, which then makes it not line up at all. Yeah, and right, be a bloody magnet. Thank you. So yeah, if you're concerned about dust getting in, clearly you can use that should you need to. So that is enough of that. The RGB connection is a proprietary. Oh yeah, sorry.
Every time.
There is a kind of proprietary type connection on the end here, which goes into their own hub. It is 3 pins on. Excuse me. It is 3 pins on there. If you want to, you could deep-in this, and you could probably work out which one is which. So you're going to have a data, you can have 5-volt power, and you can have a ground. So you could rewire that to a standard 3-pin 5-volt RGB header, should you want to. It's unlikely you're going to want to do that, but potentially you can do. The cabling, actually, let's take a look on the side first of all. So you've got some actually nice smoked glass side panel, which is kind of nice. I think the white version had a slightly clearer panel. This looks a little bit darker, which I kind of, oh shit, I like. Actually, it's quite heavy actually. That's a heavy panel. So you've got metal edges like we did previously. You've got foam at the top. It's got those nice little latches in there, top and bottom. So when you actually put the panel on, you locks it into place. You can hear those latching in. Well, I did. You can't now, but it did. That's a surprisingly heavy bit of glass, actually. Looking inside, what have we got? So there is a cable tie holding that in place. So let's get rid of the cable tie. Whilst try not to cut my fingers and or cables. That's always a bad idea. So accessories bag, what have we got in here? Oh, this is the usual. You didn't see this on last time because I'd already done it in advance. So inside, along with all the other fixtures and fittings, you get the little RGB hub. So it's got a sticker on the back, so you can put it in the back pretty much kind of wherever you want to. There's a whole host of screws and adapters, cable ties, etc, etc. So that's all cool. There's only 3 fans in here, which is the same on the other one, but the 2 they've decided to put in the top. So this is set up as negative pressure, obviously, because you've got the mesh on the front and the RGB there. They're probably thinking, well, there's RGB at the front already, so let's put some fans in the top so we can get some RGB elsewhere. I think that was most likely. Yes, Kath?
Matthew Day?
I can't see from here.
Have we seen that high top before? It looks familiar.
Yes, Matthew. It's, like I said, it is the exact same chassis as the Aerocool.
No, Gamemax.
No, it is the Aerocool Duo. Not Duo. The Aerocool Aero 1, which we had last week. It literally is the exact same chassis. The exact same chassis. Wow, those words are hard for me. There's a super chat from Lucky Man. £2 super chat. Come on. Is it cheesy and does it taste good? It might be. It might well be. We might find out. So, in terms of actual layout, it's actually not too bad. Now, clearly you can't see it at the moment because the lights are off. You can see it in an RGB type of illuminated effect. Something which I'm not keen on. They don't route the cables through for you, which, I don't know, I suppose it's part of the build process that sometimes you do want to do that yourself. So if you get one of these cases for the first time, you get it and all the cables are going to be kind of laying on the inside. At the top, in this corner here, there's a little pass-through. So my suggestion would be to go through the top one and pass all those through. And that way it keeps these pass-throughs clear. So if you want to put an SSD or something in there at some point, it's going to be relatively straightforward to do after. So we're going to pass that through that top hole. Hopefully you'll be able to see some of this at least. And then that also gives you a little bit of extra length as well on the connectors for the motherboard. And I think there's actually a little place in there you could cable tie it as well, just to keep that out of the way. So that's nice and neat, and actually doesn't interfere with any of the fan stuff going on here. So that would be my my suggestion if you're going to get one of these and do some things with it. Now, because it hasn't got any fans at the front, it's actually really good for cable management, because previously I would have put all the cables and I would have tucked them in down this front channel. But now you can put all of your front panel I/O stuff down there. So potentially you could make this into like a super tidy build. See if I can tuck in a bit further. So yeah, you can tuck those cables away really nicely.
It's quite tall, isn't it?
It is quite tall actually, yeah. 512mm I think it was, which I don't think I've got a 512mm ruler. No, I haven't.
Measure?
Tape measure actually. I'm going to have a slurp of my tea in a minute.
Reversing skills there.
So from top to bottom, I'm sure I said 510. Might be a little bit less. Actually, it's closer to 520. So 518, I would say, or 20¼ inches. So yeah, it is marginally taller than they said on the box, I think. Antonio says I would prefer spending the extra 80 quid and get the Lianli 011 Air Mini case. The trouble is the Air Mini cases, you can only use them a SFX power supply, can't you? So the money that you may save or benefit from of that, you then have to spend an absolute ton on a power supply, because SFX power supplies are ridiculously expensive. In actual fact, we have got, actually that should have been here already, we've got an SFX power supply coming from Thermaltake, their new tough SFX 1000 watt, which for 1000 watts for an SFX power supply is like mind-blowing really. So we'll be seeing that soon, but it's not cheap. It's like 180 quid I think, and it's only a gold, it's not even a platinum. Whereas you could get a platinum ATX one easy for that sort of money. Right, let's get these fans. I'll get these fans hooked up and see what it all looks like. There's not going to be any real surprises here, but I'll show you how to wire up the RGB, which isn't going to be any real surprises, I don't think. It's all very straightforward stuff. Unless I do it, in which case I'm bound to get something wrong. Pass all those cables through.
No 360mm rad at the top?
No 360mm rad at the top. To be honest with you, a 240 would probably struggle, because it is pretty cramped up there. I have actually got a 240 I could try in there to see how easy it is to fit. I don't think, because that is what a lot of companies do these days. Just because you can physically fit in two 120mm fans doesn't necessarily mean you can fit a 200mm AIO. I've said this before on other manufacturers where they've said the same thing. I actually had an issue with the Techware, because they were claiming that you can get a 360mm rad in the top, front and bottom, and you can't. It's literally impossible because it is too thick. But you can put the fans in there. But they get a little bit excited with the old marketing blurb, don't they? And start saying things which are technically kind of almost true. That is a thing. I do actually really like the case. It's got a really kind of cool layout. It's quite flexible in what you can do. and again, for the price point, you're looking, I think at the moment, this is somewhere about £40. Sometimes you can pick them up a little bit cheaper, sometimes a little bit more expensive, but I think in general, somewhere around £40.
Weird board mic, ASUS.
I did see that one, Dave. I did see that one. Yeah, A520 plus, 70 quid. See, the A520 boards are cool, but I think they're a little bit too expensive for what they are. Much like where the A320 was cheap, the A520 was expensive. Thank you, Rick H, for $20. It says for your A320 motherboard mic. If I can find one, that will be awesome, and I will put it towards it, guaranteed. Wild Bill says not keen on those shallow cases. I totally understand. Actually, it is one of those. Like most things, fashion and all that kind of stuff is very much a personal thing, and there isn't going to be one size fits all. So it depends what you want. Some people that are limited on space, maybe if you're a student, or maybe you've just got another room in the house where you've got your gaming PC and it's got to be kind of family friendly and not take up too much room. Maybe you've got a small worktop or something you can put your PC on. Then shallow PCs do have their use there. They don't take up a lot of room, obviously, and because they're taking up less room, less materials, it's somewhat easier to actually find a place for them. But yeah, it's
Take the thingy off again.
Is very much to the individual.
Sean says £33.
£33 sounds like a deal. Is that what it is at the moment? £33. That's not bad.
If that case supports a 240 AIO, I'll totally forgive having the weird rounded top.
Well, the whole point of the weird rounded top is the fact that it is supposed to fit an AIO. In actual fact, we haven't tried this yet, so I'm going to take the fans out the top, and we will attempt to do it and see if we can get an AIO out there. It is going to be tight because look, there's not a lot of room there, as you can no doubt see. So I'm going to grab. Is that going to actually focus? It might do. I should get my electric screwdriver out actually, but.
D-Bacon, MSI A320 M-A Pro Max, eBay parts for PCs, $36.54 with 12 months warranty.
Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not great, but it's better.
Can he message that to you?
Yeah.
Find it in the chat again, will we?
That's all right. I'll ideally, I do want something ATX to fit in here. But if worst comes to the worst, I will go with whatever is actually available. Because we're in a marketplace where at the moment you do have to make some of those slight kind of deviations sometimes. You can't always get what you want with the budget.
William Bodie wants high cam, please.
Wants a what?
High cam.
High cam?
Yeah.
What's the high cam?
That camera above you.
That's what it's on, isn't it?
No.
Oh shit, sorry. I didn't press the button, did I? Sorry. There we go. I was wondering what I thought. Oh, yeah.
I thought you were doing it, but you said, will it focus? And I assumed it didn't.
It did, yeah. Sorry. Bird's eye. There we go. Hopefully you can see it.
That just stopped playing or something?
It's never started.
Has it not?
No. I did wonder that myself.
I'm watching on my phone.
Right, let's find an AIO. Let's have a look what we got here. Oh, that sounded like some... Oh, shit! Wow. Sorry, nearly killed Poppy. I think if an AIO dropped on Poppy, she would be somewhat upset. So let's go back to the main camera. So,
blurry.
Sorry.
It's alright.
There we go, there is the AIO. So we're going to try and get the Solentium PC Navis F240 to fit. Actually, we can do this from down here now, anyway, can't we? I've got no wires. I don't know why that pleases me, it does. Not tripping over stuff is excellent.
Dropping stuff on Poppy isn't.
Yeah, dropping stuff on Poppy is quite a bad thing. So let's see if I can do this without making too much of a mess. Again, the odds are going to be stacked against it. So I think most people, if you're going to be installing a radiator in here, you're most likely going to be going pipes forward, I think, rather than pipes backward. So let's see how much room we've got. Oh no, yeah, piece of cake. So actually, he says before we've even got any screws attached. So do the screws line up? Yes, they do. Let's grab some screws. I knew it was a mistake standing up because it's incredibly warm. Where's my little bowl? There we go. Shrek says MSI B650M Prash thing. Top camera overhead. There we go. I'm not sure if it. Oh god. The trouble is the top camera is not. I don't think it's focusing. Is it? Is that focusing?
I think that's right this time.
Oh, stay there. Right, move this over to the side. I need more room. I'm determined to drop something.
I swear Poppy was face planting there. Like,
Face
yeah.
palm.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing, you fat baldy Bristol git? Alright, I think 2 screws should be enough just to prove a point. So let's put 1 screw at the back. Is that actually even in?
I can't feel a thing.
Didn't feel a thing. Well, it's getting tighter, so I'm assuming it is. Where's the other screw hole? There we go. So it's a little bit on the tight side, but it does actually do what it says. I suppose really the easiest way of doing it, or looking, or finding out, would be to actually just look on their website, because they're bound to have it with AIO in it, aren't they? So there we go. It does physically fit a 240mm AIO.
Can you fit a 3-fan cooler in there, Mike?
No, not a chance in hell. Not going to happen.
Can you read UglyBob's?
UglyBob, tight like a tiger. It is tight like a tiger. So if you're installing the AIO in this configuration, the pipes are actually still at the front, but you could still easily get a fan in there on this front mounted section. So if you wanted to have it behind, you can do, and there's tons of room. Or you could have it obviously in front as well. So yeah, even with the AIO in there, you could still put 3 fans in here very easily. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's necessarily spacious, but you can see, or at least hopefully you can see, that it kind of does fit up in there quite nicely. And if you don't want to see the radiator, because realistically most radiators are pretty ugly, let's be fair.
Maybe fit the 3-fan cooler to the front?
You get, yeah, 3-fan cooler, you get a radiator 3-fan at the front, easy. But the top section you wouldn't. But the front one, you get a 360 rad in the front, easy. Easy peasy. If anybody specifically wants to see if a 360mm rad will go in the front, let me know, and I will endeavour to do that for you. If that is something which is on your mind, or something that you're planning. I don't really think this sort of price case that people will be putting a 360mm in the front, but again, if you want to, please do let me know in the chat. And someone is pinging the bejesus out of my Discord. I wonder who that be. How did this go in here? Did it go in that way? That way. That way. I would have done that way, wouldn't it?
Make it fit.
Make it fit. Not going to be able to get all those bits in there again now. Oh well, that'll be fine. It's absolutely fine. Just stomp it down, it'll be good. Let's have a look, see who's been massaging me. Might have been Dave sending those links, possibly. Oh, Craig, I've got your email. Thank you. And he says, I've been a member for, wow, a long time. I think actually Craig was one of the first. Do you know what? We might have to do another run of those hats. Because we're out now, aren't we? Almost. Yeah, I think we are, aren't we? That's the last one.
I know, Flamey, but part of the deal of you sitting in my lap.
What was that? I put that one there. Oh. Well, I'm not going to put the radiator back up there because I may incur damage on our furry friend. And thank you for the super chat, Shrek. Where's my bloody mouse gone now?
Isn't it flame moon? So I've got to go.
Shrek says, what's up? Many things. Craig Lilly says, every time the Discord pings, an angel gets its wings. Hopefully it's not our angel because she's out on the piss. And she'll have enough wings as it is.
I think she could even drink UglyBob under the table, do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still at the pub.
Really Random Review says, don't worry Mike, almost everything I check out I can never fit back in the box properly. I do struggle. Yeah. William Bodie says, if it does not fit in Germany, we just use a bigger hammer.
Chet uses a mini hacksaw, but I found your mini hacksaw in the bunker, didn't I? It rusted away.
Craig says, pretty close. Right, did anyone want to see if the 360mm AIO physically fits up front? This is probably the time to ask if you do want to see that. I'll wait. There's a bit of, I think there's about a 20-second delay on here, so I'll wait a minute and see what everyone says. Dutch Jan says black screen.
No, not ours.
Shrek says, yeah, let's see the 360. William Bodie says, yes. Yes, do it for the giggles. What happened with the 240? 240 is fine. It's I've taken it back out, ready to pack away. So the 360, if you want to put a 360, there's something you're going to have to do to begin with, which is, actually, let's get rid of these fans out of the way. So we don't need those right now. So there is a drive cage at the bottom.
Yeah, that's what happened with the 240.
I've put it back in the box. It did physically fit, it was fine. I was concerned that it wouldn't be, but it does seem that it's absolutely, as they say in Scotland, it's nae bother pal. That wasn't very good Scottish, so my apologies to anybody who might be Scottish, who I might have just offended, including our next door neighbour, who is actually Scottish. Doesn't speak Scottish though, I don't think. He used to.
Andy Archer, back to the mention of motherboards. How about one of those eBay AliExpress specials by Machinist?
Yeah, I've seen them, but I've not really seen them be cheap enough to make me think that it's worth outweighing the risks of failure. Realistically, I think if you're buying a knockoff brand or like a non-well-known brand, there's got to be a significant price saving or cost cutting, wow, to make it worthwhile. Right, to put a 360 in here, you've got to take this cage out, and I don't think you can get it to fit any further backward either. So you will be basically omitting being able to have drives. So there's the drive cage, just pops out a single screw on the bottom, which keeps it in place. It's actually got nice rubber washers and all that kind of stuff on there. I think actually Aerocool, give them their dues, they actually make some half decent cases. My only criticism is their kind of original retail selling prices, which I think are very much wishful thinking. If you're making cases, computer stuff, whatever it might be, you do have to remember there's alternatives out there, and there's a lot of competition, and there's also branding. There's a lot of brand snobs out there. There really is. There's a lot of people out there who are saying, no, I'm not going to do it. I want Noctua, or I want Be Quiet, or I want Arctic, or, you know, Antec, whatever their chosen company is. And obviously there are premium brands. You've got your Landleys, Corsair, etc. Some people will just not buy a case because of that. So if you have a case which is pitched up similar price wise to some of the bigger players, you're just not going to sell cases. And then you get to the point where you get into a situation where this is now, where it's kind of heavily discounted everywhere because people have got them in stock in their shops, like Scan, eBay Air, all that kind of stuff, or even Aerocool themselves, just in their own kind of web shops. And they've got stock sitting around. And they can't sell it because it isn't priced competitively enough to make people want to jump from those premium brands. So you do have to kind of take one for the team, reduce your pricing, and, well, I know I'm preaching to the choir, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's good for us because eventually these come down to more sensible prices. Now, I wonder if this will go straight in without having to remove fans. I don't think it is at all. So that is a potential snag already. Let's try it this way. I don't think this is going to go either. I think it's going to be a case of you have to take the fans off in order to do it. I know, that might do it. There we go. So if you've got a motherboard in there, you've got a snowball's chance in hell. Actually, saying that, no, that isn't going to go. So if you're planning on having your fans on the back pulling in through the radiator, that definitely isn't going to work. Most fans lose a lot of their efficiency if you do it that way, so I think most people probably have fans in a push configuration rather than pull. It does look nicer for some setups if they've got RGBs and all that. But yeah, if you, I think if you had a motherboard in there as well, you'd have no chance whatsoever. 25.3 degrees currently here in the Mub studio.
Break out the Dremel.
Break out the Dremel. I don't even own a Dremel. I've got a DeWalt multi-tool, but it's so noisy it kind of wakes the dead. Didn't.
I thought you did.
Actually, did I? Yeah, I did have one, didn't I, years ago. I gave it away to someone.
Oh, I wanted it for my toenails.
It was a knockoff one, wasn't it? It was a cheapo, which come with like a ton of stuff in like a little plastic presentation case, but it was not great. Wonder who I gave it to, actually.
Craig, really?
I didn't give it to Craig. Craig says, has anyone else had problems with Lian Li AIOs? Had the Galahad 360 AIO and it died in 2 weeks. Returned it to Amazon and got a Mugen 5 air cooler. Getting cooler CPU temps than the AIO. Yeah, there was definitely something wrong with that. Although saying that, the Mugen 5, or Mugen, however you pronounce it, is a pretty decent cooler. Now, something to bear in mind, obviously, with the layout of this case, as it is, you're not going to be able to do pipes down because you're not going to be able to bend them up quick enough. You could, if you wanted to, make a, ow, that hurt, make a cutout here to bring the pipes back up into the middle section, but then you're going to interfere with the graphics card. So potentially you could do, but I think most people will probably end up with the radiator going in pipes up rather than pipes down. And can we get it in there? Yeah, that goes in nice and easily. Very little fuss. And then you can put your fans back on. Let's raise that up a little bit. So about there. So a little trick, if you're doing this and you're trying to get it positioned right and you're running out of hands, then just line it up with one of the middle screws. So get one of those in, get one on the other side, and on the lower part, not the very top one. So do it up semi-tight. Then what you want to do is just raise your radiator up a little bit until your screw holes come into view at the top and also at the bottom wherever you're mounting. So this one is going to have to go there because that is the lowest screw mount, and to make sure there's screw mounts are visible everywhere. And no, there isn't actually. That is a little bit of a faux pas. So where do we run out of screws? So yeah, you cannot. Why do they do this?
Just Jan, I don't know if that's anything.
Right, it's going to have to go there.
Just let the fan slide in at the back. I don't know if that means. I don't know if
Oh yeah, you could put the. I don't think actually there isn't a lot of room there between that. So I think this is a particularly thick radiator because it's the Arctic one. So I think it's 37mm rather than the usual 25 or so. Let me just measure that and see what we've actually got left in terms of depth. So yeah, with this radiator installed, you've got 20mm. So you'd have to use slimline fans if you want them on the inside or in front of there. This radiator is 37mm. So if you went for 25 or something, you would have a lot easier task, it says. So just a couple of screws in there, so it's roughly in place. And then you can go ahead and put in your fans a little bit easier. He says. I don't think I've lined it up actually. No, it's slightly off. That is a bit of a stupid thing. I can't believe they've actually done that. So the screw holes on the bottom are at their highest point. The screw holes on the top are just away from their highest point, the lowest point. So it doesn't quite match up, which is a bit stupid. Well, not stupid, but it's a bit of a pain. See if I can twist that around a little bit. So yeah, that's about right. Not the easiest. Let's start now. Yeah, there we go. So you can get that semi-started. Front mounting can be a bit of a pain in the proverbial. But once you get it lined up, the rest of it is going to be pretty much child's play. I wonder actually if that is going to now interfere with the fan because we've got that chunk there. So I'm going to run that cable in through here, over here, and then in through here. No, that still fits, so you will still be able to get the front panel on even if you go for a front mounted setup. So I kind of like it, although you're going to be struggling now with the pipes to actually get them to fit in, so you'd have to do some kind of cable or pipe training to get them to snake around. So yeah, it's not ideal. It's often one of those things that most people, when you buy a case and then when you actually come to start fitting stuff like this, you then realise that half the things you want to fit won't fit. If I had £1 for every time I've got a Corsair case and tried to do the same thing, I'd have probably a few pounds. Because they are a pain. They always look like they're going to do what you want them to do until you try and do it, and then they generally don't. especially the 220T or the 465. I think there was another one as well. I can't think which the other one was. There was another one which did as well.
Had it on for ages.
Sorry.
It's not too much in the way today.
There we go. So, Shrek says, I've given up on AIOs. Air is cheaper, easier, and more reliable. Dutch Jan says, just let the fans slide in at the back. They literally won't. There's not enough room. Well, there is for the top two, but the bottom one wouldn't. There's literally, like I said, 20 mil, and fans are 25 mil, so you'd have to get a Dremel and cut out a little bit more. If you had a normal radiator, which isn't quite as thick as the Arctic one, you'd probably get it in there okay. Although, like I said, I would generally recommend, if you are doing a radiator setup, to have the fans push in rather than pull in. Most fans, with a few very minor exceptions, will be better at pushing air through a space than they will be pulling. It's different when it comes to air cooling and going through like a case for exhausting or something, but when you've actually got some positive pressure, the positive pressure normally comes from the case, the fans being designed to push through a certain area, whereas the pulling is kind of secondary. It's a different type of force, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but anyway. There you go. Right, let's put these fans back in, I think. Let's just get rid of those. Actually, I'm going to do things in a logical way, and Kath, if there's any questions at a time, you could furnish me with those said questions. I'll try and put this thing back together. I do like Arctic radiators, the way they've done the all the wiring. It makes life a little bit easier. Literally one plug. One plug to rule them all. No questions?
No.
Bloody great.
Kieran said, get Arctic slim fans.
Yeah, that's Arctic do some 15 mil fans actually, which you could do that with. Although at that point, if you've spent that amount of money to get the Arctic Slim fans, you've almost spent more than the case cost. But it is a potential thing.
Michael Craig just had to pop out for dinner. What did I miss? There you go, that's a question I have.
What did you miss? Where do I start? Me faffing around with a case for the best part of an hour, probably. What time is it anyway? 10 o'clock.
Might clean radiator first.
Clean the radiator? No. If I ever choose to use this again, I'll clean it then. I've actually refilled it recently, so there's no air bubbles. It was getting a bit old, as we all are. Well, I'll speak for myself there. Unfortunately, the passage of time is one of those things which cannot be interrupted. Well, unless you know someone with a cryo chamber, but you probably don't want to go down that route. I wonder if OpenAI has got any cool ways of actually extending your life. That might be a thing to ask it. How can I extend my life? No doubt it will say something about eating sensibly and not being a fatty and not indulging in Christmas festivities and booze.
Probably would recommend all that.
Letter says, I wish radiator manufacturers would choose one standard screw size. Yeah.
Stuart says, life is complicated enough. Air cooling is the way to go for hassle-free life.
I do agree, actually, to some extent. I do miss it. The only reason I got water cooler in that PC behind me is because physically I can't install a cooler of a reasonable size that will actually physically fit in there. Otherwise, I probably would go back to air cooling in there, being that I've got quite a few air coolers which I could make use of. But that's first world problems, eh? Which bag is which?
I don't know if this is from there. There are several ways to potentially extend your life, including eating a healthy and balanced diet that is rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains and lean proteins.
Wow. So they're saying avoid fats, basically. Which is brilliant, seeing as your brain is made up of like 90% fat.
You don't need an AI to tell you what to do. You have the missus for that. Get that coffee in you.
Get that coffee in your butt. Not you, Poppy. No coffee in the butt for you. Right. Oh, God. If you ever think that you can make this look more difficult, please feel free to come around.
Avoiding risky behaviours such as smoking, excessive alcohol consumption and drug use. Managing stress and maintaining a positive attitude which can improve overall health and well-being.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
No, it gets better. Regular checkups with your healthcare provider to monitor your health and address any potential health issues early on. Pursuing activities and hobbies that bring you joy and fulfillment, which can improve mental and emotional well-being.
So let's all water cool our PCs. That will give you immense enjoyment and absolutely zero psychological stress. I've never understood why people go on holidays. No, not holidays, the other one. Cruises. Why would anybody in their right mind go on a cruise? That's got to be the most, like, mind-racking thing you can possibly do.
Why?
Well, because the bloody thing's a boat, isn't it? It's bound to sink at some point. It just depends if you're on it or not.
I do agree. I wouldn't want to be stuck with the same people.
I watched Titanic. I know how it ends.
At least if you're like on land, you can kind of escape the same people.
Exactly, yeah. If you're stuck on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean or something, and you've got someone who's like a real Apple fanboy, and you don't want to be anywhere near them, you could just, well, you'd have to jump ship, wouldn't you? Uh-oh.
UglyBob didn't like being on boats when he was paid to be on a boat.
Yeah, being on a boat is like a danger thing. Danger Will Robinson. Right, where do I want to put this? There. I like it just there. Oh, by the way, for those of you that are interested, not that you will be, but I'm going to tell you anyway because it interested me. I did have a reply back from our good friends at Gamemax about the RGB hub in the Gamemax... Was it the Spark? No, what was it? It was the... What's the one with that front panel? Abyss. The Gamemax Abyss, where it had the pins which are sticking out. They were, as it turns out, only test pins. And if you short them out, basically, it makes the fans ramp up and down and do stuff with the RGB. So it isn't a problem. We had it where it was potentially touching on the side of the case. They tried it themselves and actually found that they had to struggle to get it to do it, to actually make contact, although it did scratch the paint, it didn't make actual proper contact. But they will be addressing it. They're looking for some sort of plastic caps they can put over in future. So yeah, fair play to Gamemax. They addressed it, or at least acknowledged it. I looked into it and seemingly have rectified it. So yeah, fair play to them. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. It's nice when a company does that, I think, because a lot of companies could have just turned around and said, who are you? I don't know your email address and I'm not acknowledging this at all, which does happen. So yeah, I'm pleased that they actually were interested and actually went through the process. They actually escalated it as well to Gamemax, the kind of the parent company, not just Gamemax UK. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the outcome on that. Not really pleased that we had to ask them in the first place, because it's something which you don't really expect, but yeah, it was good that they kind of got involved. Did anybody see some case screws? There they are. They did, yeah. They've now blocked the entire UK domain. Luckily, I'm on .com, so they just have to block me, not the whole domain.
Did the 360 fit?
Yeah, 360 was fine.
Well, Bill said it's 520 of course it did. Mish asked, what was the issue with the case mic? Sorry, just came in.
Oh, with the Gamemax one? The Gamemax one, the RGB hub on the back, there was 2 test pins which were exposed, and they were making contact with the chassis at some points when I put pressure on it. Which, you know, it's like sometimes when you do the whole suitcase thing, when you're doing a build because the wires don't fit or whatever, then it did actually mark the paint or take some of the paint off, the protective coating off the paint. So I wanted to basically highlight the problem or potential problem with Gamemax, and also it was actually good to gauge what their response would be like, whether or not they would say like piss off or we'll look into it. I actually thought at some point they were going to just say piss off, because I didn't get a reply for a little while, and he said sorry for the lengthy reply, or the long time in replying properly, but he wanted to get his facts straight from Gamemax themselves, which is pretty admirable, I believe. So they could have just said piss off. Happy while you work.
Happy while you work.
Guaranteed not to die, because I've done what OpenAI said. Flame's not happy. Miserable.
Did you hear that massive sigh you did?
Chubby Sammy says, just bought this case in the Black Friday sale for a budget build, paid £38-ish, very pleased with it. To be honest with you, at the moment, with the current market, of the way things are, and the inavailability or lack of availability, or basically drought of half decent budget cases, it's quite nice that these are about. I quite like the black finish as well. It's quite a nice way they've done it. It's like a nice satin matte black, I'd say. It's not a gloss finish, and it isn't an absolute fingerprint magnet, which is quite handy. Especially if you're living in a house where it's currently 24.9 degrees Celsius. Does it do phased auto detect on that?
Don't know. Here it goes.
No.
No.
Is it because my face is out of the way? It's still on Poppy Eye Detect.
I can get the gist of what it says.
Yeah.
As long as you're not on a... Oh yeah, it's still sit on my phone.
Rather warm.
I'm getting a bit chilly around the legs now. I reckon cat flaps
Chilly?
stuck open.
Chilly?
Only around the
What's the matter with you, you lunatic? It's bloody boiling.
It only does cat.
Cat auto detect. It does appear, potentially, that Panasonic is the cameras that we use for the stream, which we have done since we started out. Well, we did use Canon very, very briefly because we borrowed one, but pretty much all the way through,
Thanks, Adam.
we've been, yeah, thanks Adam if you're watching from the Blind Divide. Panasonic is pretty much where we've been. So GH7, then we went to the G80, G85, then the S5, which we're on now. And the one thing which has always been the issue with Panasonic cameras is their autofocus, because it's not brilliant. And Sony have always been the kind of the market leaders when it comes to autofocus in mirrorless cameras. Canon have always been very good, to be honest. They had the dual pixel autofocus, which was really good, but Sony kind of have taken the crown somewhat in that respect. But it does appear that DJI, makers of action cams, etc., and drones, they are currently working with Panasonic on a new LiDAR technology for autofocusing and for lenses. And obviously, when you're flying a drone, autofocus is like super important, because if you're flying a drone, it's expensive, and if you miss the shot, then yeah, it's a terrible thing. So they appear to be working on a LiDAR technology for autofocus, which means if Panasonic do adapt it for their range of cameras, their autofocus is going to be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I was at a point where I was thinking I might consider moving away from Panasonic and go Sony just for the autofocus. But after hearing that, I'm kind of...
That Sony one was awful.
Yeah, to be fair, every Sony camera I've owned so far has been absolutely horrendous. Unless you spend an absolute ton of money on their extremely high-end, like the A7V. Is it A7? No, Sony A7. A7 IV or 5? 4. A7 IV is the current kind of top of the range, and it's like about £2,500 just for the body. Then like another 500 quid or so for a lens. It's a really expensive thing to buy. Whereas Panasonic is a similar sort of thing for about £1,200. Which is still an absolute ridiculous amount of money, but gives you reasonable results. Right, what was I going to do next? Oh yeah, let's fire up the RGBs and see what they're like. I want to see what that front panel looks like. Where's the front panel? There we go. My voice is getting a little hoarse now. I was going to tell a funny story then about somebody I used to work with, but you never know. They may actually be watching. Kath's looking at me like...
Ew.
The horse. Remember?
Ah, yeah.
I don't think I've had quite enough alcohol to invoke that particular storyline. So the front panel connection is different from the fans. So the fans are like these 5 or 6 pin jobbies, and the other ones for the LEDs are little 3-pin ones at the bottom there, like we said earlier. So off of there, you've also got 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB if you want to hook up non-standard stuff like your AIOs and all that kind of stuff. SATA power, PWM connection for the fan speed, which does appear to work exceptionally well. And also then you've got your 5-volt addressable RGB to plug into a motherboard to transfer all that stuff over. So what do I need? Oh, reset switch I need. So which one is reset switch? So let's discombobulate that. And we'll see if we can get that to go in. Where is the reset switch? So reset switch plugs into the hub and then will allow you to control it from the button on the front of the case, which doesn't want to fit. Get in there, you little bastard. There we go.
UglyBob says, I do like the front cover apart from the RGB, of course. Did you say where you got it?
I did I mention? I did mention I got this from UglyBob, the kind man himself who sent this over. So what do I need next? I need a power supply.
So Mitch says, wait, is this an Aerocool Aero 1 Eclair, but with a solid front?
Correct.
It's not solid though, is it?
It's not solid, it's semi-solid. If that's the thing. Popidora. No.
She likes you to sing Popidora and the Hallelujah.
The Hallelujah style.
Semi.
All the Alexander Burke's quaking now, thinking, oh my god, he's good. There goes my Christmas bloody royalties for the rest of my life.
Imagine his mum should be even more pissed.
Right, what do I need? apart from lobotomy. Come on, OpenAI, what do I need next? Let's plug that in there.
Pops.
Have we got power?
Oh, did she talk then?
Oh, why is that not powered? Oh, okay.
Stop. That sounded more like Shrek music.
It was, wasn't it? It's the same tune, isn't it?
Never noticed it before.
Who knows? Right. No. Ooh. Bob would have liked that.
Do it again. Oh,
Gotta get it just right.
Bob approved.
Oh dear. So there we go, there's the RG and the B. It's pretty cool actually, I quite like that. Those fans move a fair bit of air. So let's have a little bit of a colour cycle. So we've got some red, although because cameras don't do colour accuracy at all, that probably looks orange. But it
does, it looks yellow.
Yeah, it looks yellowy orange. Why do cameras not do red?
It's blood red.
Somebody ask OpenAI why cameras cannot see red. They never do. That is that is blood red. That's the same as the AMD red, which it probably can't see either. That's AMD orange.
It's as red as that live at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, it is. That's now orange, which probably looks yellow. I suppose I should colour balance the camera, but whatever.
What's it now? White? No, that's the yellow.
That's the kind of the acidic yellow, which probably does look relatively accurate, although
no, it doesn't.
I'm looking on the screen now, it doesn't look anything like it, does it?
No.
Anyway, that's green. It will see green. Cameras see green absolutely fine. I'm waiting now.
You can see how green it is. No, it's not. No, it looks white on there. But look on the side of Mike's neck instead. That shows the colour better.
Oh yeah. Use the neck cam.
He looks like Shrek on there now.
So that is cyan.
Yeah, you can see it on your side of your
Or
neck.
pale blue, as it's known. Then we have the more navy blue, or royal blue, or blue. Then we have pink. Although I would say that's more of a violet. Purpley. Parma. Get the. Ooh. What you talk about, Willis?
She's too cute.
You alright? Settle down now? Do you want some ham? Smoky ham? From Lidl? No, guess not.
Turn the lights off.
Okay.
Flame doesn't like that. It's okay, we're not going. Thank you very much.
That is still Parma violet, pinky, purpley, whatever.
It's what Billy wanted the lights turned off so Poppy could sleep.
Now that is actually white, but it's got a very bluey white to it. I would say that's more in the blue spectrum, so like modern car headlight white. Then we have the colour cycle, which is many colours. All 16.8 million. Don't bother counting them, I'll have a pasty. And then we got unicorn puke. I quite like the holes in the front. Can you see the holes?
Yeah.
Are they relatively visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in terms of airflow, it's going to be pretty decent, I think. Ooh, now we've got strobe effects, which look like it's broken. But I think it is meant to look like this.
If you put your fingers over it. Fingers over it?
I have.
With a gap between them. It showed up quite well just now.
Did it?
But with the gap between your fingers a bit more. No,
No. Some weird stroby shit going on there.
It just looks rubbish on the camera, to be honest.
It does. I might learn photography one day. It looks like the fans that they put in here are the different ones. I think they're the duos, which might be why they call this the Splinter Duo, because it's got the Aerocool Duo 120s.
Check you out.
I've actually worked out, because the inside ring is different from the outside ring. I think.
See your hand bones almost.
Ooh. Jesus. Warning, strobe effects. If you haven't already, need some drum and bass. Oh. Knight Rider. That's quite cool.
Looks like a giant Corsair 100.
Yes, it does.
That looks broken.
Wow. That's gigabyte RGB, I expect.
It's like those old tube light things we had around the dining room in the old house.
Is that moving? It is, isn't it? Very slowly. Like a candy effect. And we're back to the solid RGB, I think, isn't that? Is that moving? No, that is solid. Oh, then we're going round again. Right, stick the lights back on, please. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm relatively impressed with that. Obviously, if you're plugging it into a motherboard that has the 5-volt 3-pin addressable RGB, then it'll do whatever your motherboard tells it to. UglyBob, £2 super chat, says he's like a dog with 2 willies, lol. Dutch Jan says I don't like the stripe in the front. Right, just for you, Dutch Jan. There you go. No more stripe. Unplug it. There is the beauty of addressable RGB, or not addressable RGB, should you not wish to have addressable RGB. Where's that cable gone?
They are quite bright, the lights on it, actually, aren't they? Well, Bill said.
Yeah, they are quite bright.
Vivid.
Yeah, they are vivid, definitely. And in real life, they actually look more vivid than you can see.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a shame, really, that the ones in the top are quite as hidden as they are, because they're actually like really pretty as well, and they've got a nice bit on the side as well. They could almost do it being lowered down.
Better preset than MSI Mystic Lights.
Oh god, yeah. MSI's Mystic Light is basically, it's the only thing mystic about it is how have they managed to get away with it for so long being so shit. It's basically rainbow puke or bust. Right, I think I can pack this away now quite happily. I think I've covered everything that needs covering. Would you all agree? Are we in the clear? Obviously, at some point in my existence, there will be a build done in this. Let's see if I can get that to stay in there. There we go. Happy days. Happy, happy days. I like this case, I really do. I think Aerocool have done quite a lot of things right here. I would argue that in terms of other manufacturers of cases, they could actually learn a thing or two from Aerocool. I think they've done a really good job. There's not really anything on here that you could say is a deal breaker. I don't think personally. You might not like the looks of it, but yeah, I think they've pretty much nailed it. So it looks kind of nice. It would appeal to a pretty wide market. You've got arguably a lot of airflow because of that ventilation. You've got the option of filters if you want to use filters or not. You've got room for a radiator at the top, you've got room for a radiator at the front with some exceptions. The only thing really, I guess, which you could argue is a slight negative, you've got the pop out or bend out PCI Express blanking plates, but that isn't really a deal breaker. I would quite happily trade certain aspects of a case for that, because it's kind of, well, once you've taken them out, you've got something in there anyway. The glass is well made, the front panel looks pretty tidy. I would argue it's an inoffensive look. It doesn't look like awful. That doesn't lock in, but it doesn't want to fall out, so I live with that.
Stuart missed the start of the stream as it got a hinged door.
It hasn't got a hinge door. That would be something which would be a nice addition, a hinge door, I think. Although, having said that, hinge door for how many times you use it, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
William said there was no notification on YouTube for this stream.
Bloody YouTube. They're rubbish.
Do it on Odyssey.
Yeah. If you don't get notifications for the stream, the best thing to do is install Discord on your PC, because YouTube immediately picks up the fact we're streaming and sends a Discord notification. And also, obviously, being parts of an extremely cool and
Friendly.
diverse, I should say, environment is pretty good. I generally hate the word diverse and most of the things that it stands for, because I think it's just bullshit. But in fairness, we do have an extremely wide range of members in our Discord from various walks of life and various
And it's not just,
ethnicities and backgrounds.
and it's not just tech stuff, is it? Like, when our plumbing broke.
Yeah, Deathstroke, when our heating broke, or central heating broke, is giving us advice on heating. And we do also have, sorry headphone users, we do also have a mental health section, which if you're struggling, sorry, with everyday life, then you can go in there and vent your spleen.
Jesus, baby.
Sorry. Blame Bob.
Dave.
Blame Bob and Dave. So it is quite a tall case,
But quite thin.
but thin and narrow. It's like slender. Look at a Slender Man build. Remember Slender Man? Whatever happened to a Slender Man? Did he get banned or something? There we go, stick a bit of tape on there. Stop the cat's hairs falling into it. Give me something less to vacuum.
Dear.
Sorry. Teeth. The reason why baby Jesus gave us teeth, so we can cut our own sellotape without having a dispenser. Thank you, baby Jesus.
Air cooler height.
Air cooler height 161 millimeters. Although I would probably err on the side of caution and go with a 160, maybe. That is probably going to be a safer bet. Stuart Cleary is coming with a super chat there. Cuz yous are one of the few Saturday night streamers keeping me from hitting the town spending obscene amounts of moolah. Well, bless you, and I'm happy to help you save money in more ways than one. And I promise that we will endeavour to use the proceeds sent to us in a wise way. Although realistically, come on, you guys know me, I'm such a tight ass that it's going to be hard pressed for me to spend it on something frivolous. Blimey, nearly went. I struggle to spend money on stuff now. Like, I've got 2 expensive chairs here and I'm still using the milk stool.
And you just bagged me some more pallets to cut.
And I got some more pallets coming from young Dave. Twig Hiker says, not seen a decent deal on anything ITX throughout the last 2 weeks sales. It's frustrating. To be fair, at the moment, ITX boards are actually very comparable, or comparable even, if that is the right word to use, as some of the normal ATX boards, which is weird because ITX boards used to always be ridiculously expensive. I've seen a couple of B550 ITX boards going for about £110, which actually isn't bad, comparatively now. And it's almost making me think I should do another ITX build, but I just don't like ITX. I think ITX is too challenging when it comes to graphics cards. It's hard to get an ITX chassis which has at least 3 available graphics card slots in terms of like available height. So yeah, if you're using a like a onboard graphics or something, it's fine. But then why do you want to spend that much money with something with onboard graphics unless you're just using it for streaming or something, or I don't know, maybe content consumption? But then why, if you're using it for content consumption, you're better off buying an Xbox. At least you can play some games on it as well.
Alpha Indigo.
I don't know. Alpha Indigo. Aerocool Aero 1 Eclipse looks like the same case, but has a different front panel. That is exactly right, yes. The Aero 1 Eclipse, or the Aerocool Aero 1, is the exact same chassis down to the nuts and bolts. The only thing different is the front panel. Although saying that, it potentially might have different fans. I'm thinking that the other one doesn't have the Aerocool Duo fans, it just has the regular RGB ones. So that might be a very slight difference, but otherwise, yeah, not sure. Twig Hiker says, any link to those Mobos, Mike? Let's have a look. Where did I see it? Sorry, I was going to open up a new window, and it might have been on UK Hot Deals. I hate to say it, but it might have been Hot UK Deals. I'll probably post it in the Discord as well, I think. ITX. I can't remember where I did see it. It might have been actually, I think it might have been on Amazon, to be fair. Yeah, there's a B660M ITX ACD4, which is the DDR4 version, £135. And it's probably on Amazon. Let's have a look. B550 ITX. And sort by price. Sorry, it's the A520M, my mistake. So you've got the B450. Actually, can I share this screen? Let's copy that, and paste that in there. Boom, boosh. Yes, accepting cookies. There we go. Desktop. That should be. Why is that not working? Hello, McFly. Oh, I know. Window capture.
Bang!
Don't be silly.
William Bodie told me to. Didn't work.
If he told you to jump off a cliff, would you do that?
No, but the bangs are fun.
Yeah.
React.
They are. Thank you. Right, so there's the ASRock A520M-ITX. It's 114. Temporary out of stock. ASRock B450 Gaming ITX, 113. Yeah, that must have been what I was thinking of. Steel Legend at 136 is not bad. Comparatively, obviously. Oh, that might have been one of them. Yeah, there we go. Gigabyte B550 Aorus Elite. So free shipping, 114.49. I'm sure I saw one. I haven't had a Gigabyte board in ages. I was actually looking at it thinking, do I? Don't I? I eventually bottled it because I'm a bit unsure about the ITX form factor. Although saying that, at the price they are now, it's going to be almost getting to the point where it actually makes sense to buy it and just have a smaller board in your case. So anyway, hopefully that is useful to you. Don't know, maybe it is. Minimise that. And where is my chat? There we go. Mark Berry says garlic is good for your blood pressure. It is. Garlic's a weird one though, because it's super toxic, but it's also super good for you in 2 ways, isn't it? There is some, you can get a toxicity, can't you, from garlic?
I think so. I've read a few things, but I still think it's it's good for you.
Uh,
Planted my garlic. They're sprouting now.
Calf's planted garlic. Shrek says, I think Micro ATX ASRock A520M-HDV will fit into an NR20. Oh yeah, because it's cut off in it at the bottom, so it might well do. Neil Beaumont. Hi Neil, good to see you. I've not seen you in the chat before, but welcome.
I've seen Neil.
Have we?
I'm pretty sure we have.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. Got a B550M Steel Legend in the Black Friday sales, was about 75 quid after a rebate. That's a bloody good price. James Brock says, so are cats and other pets. Yes, they do have a certain toxicity to them. Alpha Indigo says, even better on a chicken Kiev. I don't think you're allowed to call them Kievs now. I think you've got to call them Kievs. Or whatever the new name is. Xbox Gamer, hi Mike, I'm looking to buy a graphics card like a 3060 Ti, or should I wait for the 40 series Nvidia cards? To be honest with you, I don't know. The way things are headed, I would say that the 4060 is likely to be considerably more expensive. Whether or not it's going to be worthwhile waiting for, I honestly don't know. I would be probably... Oh, James Brock says low blood pressure, gotcha. The 3060 Ti is starting to get to the point where other cards are falling around it. So the RX 6600 is a really good buy at the moment, about 230 if you can get it. The XT version about 260, or the 6700, 10 gig or 12 gig or whatever it is. That one is about 300 if you're lucky. So those are all worth looking at. If you don't need the ability to stream or record footage, obviously Nvidia does have a bit of a benefit there. You might be worth going down the old AMD route. Potentially as well, because we've got AMD graphics cards being released on the 13th of December this year. Who knows what's going to happen. Nvidia are basically screwed at the moment with a lot of inventory knocking around, so I would expect to see a little bit of volatility in the graphics card market, especially the run up to Christmas. My personal feelings are that around CEX time, so basically the first week after Christmas into the new year, we'll probably see a lot more drops, because I think a lot of retailers are going to have been absolutely buggered, not being able to sell stuff, people holding off because of pricing. CEX is going to bring out new stuff as well. We'll also have the B650 boards from AMD out. So there's going to be a few little things which are going to maybe knock the economy a little bit and hopefully bring prices down. If you can wait, might be worth waiting until after Christmas, or seeing what Christmas sales are like. New Year sales, those potentially are good indicators. If a lot of stuff goes very cheaply, it's because retailers have struggled to sell stuff, so could be some bargains to be had. I would personally like to see the 3060 Ti drop down in price a little from its current 369, I think it is here in the UK. I could see that going down to maybe 349, although they are about to replace it with the new version with GDDR6X. So they might just upgrade the card but keep the price the same. Difficult to say. Hopefully that's answered your question, or basically giving you more to think about. Chris says, I got one of the ASUS AP210 cases mentioned here last week. Very solid case. Glad to hear it. Might check one of those out at some point, actually. Alpha Indigo says, Alpha Indigo, just wait a bit for the 4080 price crash. It's a coming. I think you're probably right. It's started already a little bit. Shrek says, don't forget the end of Christmas return policy will drop the price of Sculpt GPUs. Yeah. Amit says, thoughts on the Antec, excuse me, Antec NX200M Micro ATX case. I've not seen it. I'll be honest, I've not been a big fan of Antec cases for a long time now. They, for me, have kind of fallen from grace, and they've started to do a lot of basically just Chinese rip-off cases. whereas they used to be innovators and do their own thing. Let me have a look. So, yeah, the Antec NX200M kind of looks a little bit like the Aerocool Hive. Not bad though, £43 here in the UK with a swing out door on the side. Yeah, it looks half decent. I'm not entirely convinced by that front panel design. For me, it looks a little busy. I'm looking at it, it looks to me as if that is built on the same chassis as the TechWare Nexus M2, which is about the same price. It comes with fans, but has a slightly different front panel. So, yeah, it's fine. I wasn't a massive fan of the TechWare Nexus M2. I felt that the back lacked space for cable management. But that looks like it's got a drive cage on the back, so that's going to give you at least another 10mm or so. So yeah, it's probably a very adequate case. I'm hoping at some point Antec, we've actually reached out to them numerous times now to try and get review samples, because I want to try them out, I really do. I'm only going on my impressions of what I can see and what I've seen other reviewers doing, but from what I can tell and looking closely at the pictures, yeah, that is basically a TechWare Nexus case rebadged with a slightly different front and less fans by the look of it, which is really disappointing. Antec are doing that a lot. A lot of their stuff is just other stuff rebranded. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Look at Gamemax. They went with the rebranded version for the Gamemax F15, which was basically the Lian Li 215 and various others. And it was possibly one of the best cases that have been made in the last couple of years. And if it was still at the same sort of price, about £60, which it appears it is at the moment, is, again, probably still one of the best cases on the market for its price. In fact, Kath's still using it in her PC. Well, we've had no reason to change it. Yeah. Shrek says, Antec has always rebranded stuff. Well, they have done of recent times, but years ago when they had things like the 900 series or the P160. The P160 was an amazing piece of case. The Lamboy. Let's see if I can find the P160. Yeah, I will. So yeah, the P160. Accept all. Try and find a picture of it. Yeah, if you look up the Antec P160 case, that was an incredible bit of kit, and it was very unique. And the Antec 900 series, the 900, the 902, with the three big fans at the front, massive big boy 200mm fan on the top, absolutely incredible case, very unique. But they seem to have kind of just, I don't know, just dropped off and kind of given up. I often wonder, did Antec actually get bought out or something? And someone just bought the name? Maybe, I don't know. Thanks, William, for that. Shrek says Sonata series at least had their own touch. But yeah, the Antec Sonata, they were pretty cool. They were the glossy black ones, weren't they, if I remember rightly? Lucky Man says, welcome all new peeps from PC Jack's forum. Glad I could help. New people from other places. Cool.
Did you do Palos?
Oh,
What's your
Palos.
thoughts on the Lian Li 216?
The Lian Li 216. Now that's an awkward one for me. I don't personally think the Lian Li 216 gives you much over the 215, considering it's almost twice the price. So I would go with the 215 all day long. I did use that as my daily driver for my personal rig for, well, until the RGB hub died. And I thought, well, I'll just send it back to Amazon. In some ways, I do regret it, because that was a fantastic case, the 215. 216 is it's kind of more of the same, but they've over-engineered it just for the sake of over-engineering it, in my opinion. Like the extra ventilation along the drive bays and that is fine. I've actually asked Leanne Lee's UK distributor for a review sample, which they've said they can do, but I've not heard anything back, so who knows. Fun, actually, there's a company that I'm not going to mention, but they are the kind of the advertising arm for a lot of quite big companies, including Leanne Lee, who else is there? Montec. Trying to think. There's other brands, but yeah, they're all affiliated. And there's like one person for each brand, and you email one person, and you ask them a question about another brand, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, I can't deal with that." It's like they have no interoperability. Wow, something like that. Someone please get me OpenAI to write a script for what the hell I'm trying to say.
Say it for you.
Yeah, just say it for me. Just paste it into the chat, it'll be fine. Mark Berry says I had the Antec P180 case. It was heavyweight. Yeah, the P180 was cool. That was the more sort of silent version, wasn't it? For putting tons of hard drives in. Didn't look quite as gamery. Nice one, Lucky Man. Lucky Man says, is it worth it to swap M.2 4.0 from 3.0 M.2? No. 100% no. If you've got an M.2 PCI Express 3.0 and you're thinking of upgrading the same size drive, similar specs to a 4.0, there's absolutely no point on God's green earth of doing it. There really isn't. I've actually gone backwards. I've gone from a PCI Express 4.0 in the PC behind me. No, actually, no, sorry, tell a lie. I've gone from PCI Express Gen 3 to Gen 4 in the PC behind me. It made no difference whatsoever. The speeds are essentially the same for everyday use. If I do a benchmark, yes, it looks a little bit better, but other than that, it's no point. If it's the same price or thereabouts, then yeah, you might as well just for a little bit of future-proofing. James says I like Montec stuff, especially their cases. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some of that in to a review, see what it's all about. Jason Words is in, says, hi Mike and Kath, how you doing, Jason? I better check my microphone. This allegedly is supposed to last for about 8 hours. And it's down to, well, could be about 50%. That's not bad. That means it's going to last long enough if I want to do a 4 or 5 hour stream, possibly. We will be doing a stream, in theory, as long as we're able to, on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, because they fall on a Saturday this year for most people around the world. So whether or not you'll be interested in joining us or whether you'll have other family stuff to do, I don't know. But for those of you that don't have family or friends to be going out with partying, or maybe you just don't like doing that stuff, if you want to join us for your Christmas Eve evening, and, well, yeah, depending where you are in the world, it might even be Christmas morning, Christmas Day, Mike's Unboxing in Australia. Because Australia are 12 hours in front, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, are they? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's in the morning.
Sunday morning, isn't it?
Sunday morning here now in Australia. So, yeah.
Here now in Australia.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Yeah, for a lot of people, Christmas is quite a depressing time. And it's cold, it's miserable in some places. So, yeah, it'd be nice to just chill out, answer some of your questions, have a little bit of a laugh. Might even think about doing some giveaways or something. We're not sure. Giveaways on YouTube are always a real pain to do. So I don't know how we'll do that. Yeah, postal prices is like.
It's not the post prices, it's the.
Yeah, actually, postage prices are not bad. It's customs charges are ridiculous.
And all these codes you've got to put in. And
Alexa says I don't have a life, so I'll be watching Nenny's live stream. Awesome. Michael Thompson says it's 9:48 AM Sunday here in Australia. So yeah, it will be Christmas Day in Australia. So I don't think we'll be having many Christmas Day viewers in from Australia. Maybe we will, I don't know. Freckle Puny says I went from a 1TB PCI Express at 3.0 SSD to a 2TB PCI Express 4 simply because the price was too good to pass up at £111. Makes a lot of sense. Rick H says, my birthday is on Saturday the 17th. My birthday is on Saturday on the 17th. My birthday is on Saturday the 17th.
Of December, I think it's now.
Yes, I get it. Eventually I do. So that'll be 2 weeks' time. Yeah, 14 days. James Brock says, no question, and dealing with family can be stress-inducing. It can be. Not everybody gets on with their families. Not everybody has that thing going on. So we think of you as our extended family, and hopefully you consider us as your stepchild or whatever. David Underhill says, I've got to go. See you later. Cheers, David. Thanks for stopping by. Xbox Gamer says, not tuned in for a while because I work nights. For what it's worth, you have saved me a lot of money on your links for Windows Pro keys and the last 3 PC builds. Also, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, to be fair, I still think I really want to do a video calling out other YouTubers on their license keys for Windows. It still bugs me to this very day that there's so many web people, creators, etc., which are just flogging these really expensive keys and costing people more money than is necessary. But yes,
£5.
Premium CD keys, you can get a license key for Windows 10 or 11 Professional
Or
less than £4.
Less than 5.
Well, less than 5 depending where you are. $5, £4.
Euros, I think.
It's, yes. And Office 2019 or 2017 or 2021 if you want to get it, or 2023. Office is about £10 as well, which is it's a one-shot deal for Office, one install, but 10 quid. Come on. Where else can you get Office for 10 quid? And it actually be legit and legal. It's mad. David Thompson says, I'm always alone at Christmas. Hate family get-togethers. I get very depressed at this time of year. Well, hopefully you can stick around with us and we will try and cheer you up a little bit. And hopefully not talk about inflated prices for computer stuff, which is quite depressing. But there you go. James Brock says, Mike, your CD promo codes work in the USA? Yep, they are global. They work absolutely anywhere. I think they might not work in the... in China, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. But other than that, yeah, they work everywhere. Thanks, Mark. Lucky Man says, why not? You're cheap as Fook. They are ridiculously cheap. They are very good, yeah. Rick H says, your Windows keys are amazing. They are, and they always work. Xbox Gamers, like Mike, your keys are like for $5. Other YouTubers like 15 quid. They are. I don't know how it will get. I don't really want to piss off other YouTubers, but I sometimes feel that that's the only way of getting the message out there, and it might even go a bit viral. So other people then might actually work out that they can buy license keys a lot cheaper.
We get asked to sell other ones, but yeah, we just refuse.
We do. We get emails frequently from other companies saying, would you please like to promote our CD keys? And it's like, no, you're too expensive. I'm not going to promote a key just so I can make more money.
And the customer service is so good.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Premium CD keys, their customer service is very good.
If you do get
I'll be
one
honest
that
with
doesn't work, within minutes they give you another or get it to work.
Yeah. James says, thank you, Mike. Going to recommend someone get one from you for when they build their rig. Yeah, honestly, you can't go wrong. If you get any problems, they sort it out very quickly. Some people come back to me and say, Mike, I bought a key, it doesn't work. So there's not really anything I can do, but I say get them on the support line or drop them an email. If they don't sort it out in a timely fashion, then please get back to me and let me know. Because then I can directly contact them and say, look, what's going on? You're making me look a bit stupid here. Fortunately, fortunately, touch wood, I have not had to do that. The only thing I've had to contact them genuinely is when, I think it was part way through It might have been the first time of the lockdowns, and I think they must have been selling a lot of keys, and they literally could not get hold of Office 2019, I think it was at the time. So Office 2019 keys they just could not get. And there was a few people saying, Mike, they're sold out, they're sold out. And I'm like, it's cool, don't worry, they normally stock up very quickly, just hold on. And that lasted for about a month, I think, if not longer. And it was like, I did contact them and say, look, what's the deal? I'm getting a lot of people coming to me. I'm pissing people off, I'm losing sales, you're losing sales. And they just said, literally, we just can't get the keys. Like, they could have went off and bought a load of dodgy black market keys from China or whatever, but they didn't. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to risk pissing off customers. We're going to wait until Microsoft have got the bulk keys available for us to buy. Then we will go ahead and put this product back on sale. And actually, fair play to them. They could have obviously made an absolute killing, because it was that time where people were working from home, building PCs. They were probably selling keys faster than ever before. They could have quite easily got some cheapo knockoff keys on there, but it potentially could have caused issues with customers and their sales. So yeah, I'm glad they didn't do it. It pissed me off because I wanted it, because I was selling PCs, because it was like, everyone wanted PCs. It was like, right, build a PC, put Office on it. Oh, shit, I can't. So it was frustrating at the time, but in hindsight, it was the right decision, I feel. .sync says, just ordered a premium CD key through your code yesterday for my new build. Instant delivery. Good experience. Awesome. Cool.
I can't say it. Coffee.
Anonymity Coffee.
Yeah, I can't say that.
GeForce RTX 3050 is a PCI Express 4 backwards compatible PCI Express 3. It is, yeah. But potentially you might see a little bit of bottleneck in some instances. I get this actually, this is a question I get quite a lot, and I might get the auto AI to try and answer it for me. If you're looking at building a system, or you're putting together a system, if you haven't got a motherboard already, get one that's got PCI Express Gen 4, because then you don't have to worry about it. But if you've already got a motherboard that's got PCI Express Gen 3, and you want to add Gen 4 parts, they're going to be fine, but obviously there are going to be some instances where there just isn't enough bandwidth available to get it through the bus, because you're effectively going from, on some cards, PCI Express Gen 3 x 8 into a Gen 4 by 8. So it's not brilliant. So you can lose somewhere between 5 and 20% of performance, depending on what game and what it is, what resolution, what level of detail, etc. So
Wild Bill's off.
Cheers, Wild Bill. Wild Bill.
We haven't done that for ages.
Wild Bill.
We think it.
We do.
And JB's arcade mods.
JB's arcade mods. Ah, I see. Thanks. The keyboard behind me. That is the. That is Poppy Dora. She is not a keyboard. That is the MSI GK50 Elite, I think. There's two types. I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, the Elite. Not the low profile one. The low profile one I didn't get on very well with. I've actually got the GK71 over on the desk, the Sonic, which if you're looking for a keyboard and you want one with a really light touch, the Sonic is excellent. It took me about probably nearly a week to get used to it, because it's such a light touch and you're accidentally touching stuff all the time, but it's really good. But yeah, the GK50, if you want to save yourself an absolute fortune, like brand new, they're like 80 quid, 70 quid, something like that. Go on eBay, you can pick them up for like 40, sometimes even less. So yeah, if you can find a decent one on eBay, that would be my recommendation if you want to save money.
William Bodie.
William Bodie Q. Question, Mike, are you wearing an elf outfit for Christmas?
No, I want that one.
If so, I'll watch it. I know, Michael Thompson, that was, sorry. What? Oh yeah, sorry. William Bodie, question. I just saw a question, I clicked on it. Bit stupid, aren't I? Is M.2 Gen 4 able to be used in a Gen 3? Yes, it is. It doesn't seem to make a great deal of difference with M.2 drives, because it's very, very rare you're going to really saturate the performance. More times than not, there's going to be other limiting factors in the system which are going to be causing more of a transfer bottleneck, like where the data is going to and from. Like in benchmarks, you might notice it, but in reality, there's always going to be a bottleneck. So if you're transferring a file, maybe you're downloading a file, your bottleneck is going to be your internet. If you're loading a game, the bottleneck is going to be your processor or the graphics card. So in terms of actual real world performance, you will never in a million years notice it. Even with me rendering YouTube videos, which can be quite demanding because you're reading and writing very quick and very dense data, never notice it. Never notice a difference at all. So yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. James Brock says a lot of folks lose sight. Not all upgrades are worth it for the price you pay for the slight add to performance. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. A lot of the times, there was somebody on our Discord very recently that they were having problems, their system was very slow. And they, long story short, the hard drive was full up, so that was their problem. Data bottleneck in the drive. But rather than change the drive, they upgraded the processor from a 3600, I think, to a 3900. So it made basically no difference at all, because you've still got the existing bottleneck. So you spent loads of money upgrading basically the wrong thing, which sucks. Alessa says, I need keyboards that can be remapped for the Dorvac. I don't know if I said that right. Keyboard layout. Where's Dorvac? I don't know what that is. You might. There was a program I used ages ago for remapping keyboards, and you could basically remap it to anything you wanted to. I basically did it so that for PowerPoint, for actors, so they could pretend they're typing on screen, that each key was remapped to the next slide in PowerPoint, which was actually pretty handy. Tweak something. Was it Tweak UI? Don't think so. Can't remember. But something like that. Yeah, it was very good. You might be able to get away with doing that. James Brock says, best Cyber Monday Black Friday deal was the 6600, was 210 on Amazon. Yeah, that's a good price. Really Random Review says €4 and 64 cents for Windows 10 Pro with code MikeGGs. Don't forget as well, if you're activating Windows 11 Professional, you can use a Windows 10 Professional key. So please, if you're going over to Premium CD keys, they do list them separately. I don't know why. I've had this question before. One is working with the other, but apparently when they buy keys from Microsoft, Microsoft charge them more for Windows 11 keys and they charge them less for Windows 10 keys. Go figure, but you can use a Windows 10 Professional key to activate Windows 11.
You do the math. So
it will save even more money if you do it that way. I think if you buy a Windows 11 Pro key, it's like £10 or €10, so about £8-9. So please, if you are doing that, try and use the Windows 10 Pro key. I do. Every time I sell a PC, if it's got Windows 11 on it, I use the Windows 10 Pro key and it activates every single time. So no worries there. JB's Arcade Mods. We still have the free upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11 online. I'm not too sure if you can. I think so. For some reason, my HP laptop, which is the G8245, it's compatible, and it says it's compatible, but Windows Update isn't allowing it. So there must be something which is still restricting it for some compatibility issue, I'm possibly guessing. But in theory, yes, if you can, upgrade it, it is free basically from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Xbox Gamer Mike is 16 GB still the recommended amount of RAM for playing the latest games like COD, Modern Warfare 2. 16 gig is the sensible solution. Personally, I'm getting to the point now where I'm thinking 32 gigs is probably worth going for at the prices they are at the moment. DDR4 prices at the moment are tanking and they're unlikely to get any better. They might get marginally better, but this is the time. We've seen exactly the same thing with DDR3. If you're ever looking at somewhere in the region to £20 to £25 for 8 gigs of RAM, that is the sweet spot. Generally, it might get a little bit lower, but it's unlikely to. So this is going to be it for the last kind of hurrah for DDR4 for a while. It might last until next year. I don't know. Possibly. But if you can afford to go to 32 gigs, it's probably worth doing. Games are getting bigger, programs are getting bigger, Windows is getting more and more bloated. As individual users, we tend to have more things open on the screen, so you'll have possibly game launchers, so maybe Steam, Epic, Origin, whatever else. I'm sure there's other ones. GOG.com. Also, yeah, you get the general idea. So you have all those open, or at least run in the background. Maybe you've got Discord, possibly Outlook or something. You're bound to have some Chrome tabs open, or some Edge, or whatever browser you're using. So Windows just loading up is going to start using a lot of RAM. So when you then chuck a game on top, you might be edging towards the tail or the top end of your 16 gigs. And if, when you're playing the game, memory is getting used and you get to the end of it, it's going to start going into swap file, which is going to be slower. So you're going to notice those little dips and blips and lags and spikes, which extra 16 gigs of RAM is going to alleviate that to some point and give obviously Windows that extra breathing room. So yeah, if you can afford to and it's not overly pricey, 32 gigs I would say is starting to become the new kind of, not the new normal, but the new next level. So 8 gigs I think is completely out of the question these days. If you're buying or building a PC and you're only getting 8 gigs of RAM, just don't. It's absolutely pointless. It will run like a dog. So 16 gigs is the minimum, 32 gigs is the sweet spot, I think, personally.
Look at Poppy covering her face.
She's like, oh God, is that Baldy still raving on? Really Random View says you can even pay with Coinbase crypto. Yeah, they'll take payment of anything, I think. You could probably pay potatoes if you wanted to. James Brock says RAM prices along with storage falling in the USA. It is here because there is a glut of it on the market. They want to get rid of it. People aren't building systems. People aren't buying motherboards. So there's a lot of DDR RAM and storage going around that is just basically not being used. And they obviously, they looked at the pandemic season and thought, right, everyone's building computers and wanting to upgrade their computers or working from home and chucking loads of money into it. And now they've ramped up their production and now that market is basically fallen off. So there's a lot of it in the market. Lucky Man says, Kath got a bad cough. Did you cough just then?
Yeah.
I didn't hear, I didn't pay any attention. But thank you for the super chat. She'll buy some strepsils.
I'll have some garlic.
Have some garlic, yeah.
Got those onion badges the other night.
Yeah, Kitten's gone into standby mode. Dot Sync says, Mike, how many Mike's Unboxing t-shirts do you have? Me personally or available? I personally have probably...
Too many for the hangers you've got in your wardrobe.
4 or 5, I think. Well, this one's wrecked. They're all... To be fair, actually, they've lasted pretty well.
In 2017.
Yeah, 2017 we bought them, and this, I believe this one, yeah, this is one of the originals, and it's still, actually, considering it's been only through the wash a lot of times, it's faded a bit, but yeah, I've got loads of them. I'm actually thinking, well, it's coming up towards the end of the tax year, so I might end up just buying a load more anyway. I actually want a hoodie, but the ones without a zip, like a normal, like a pullover style hoodie.
Pullover.
What do they call that?
Thanks for noticing.
What is there is a name for it, isn't it? What's a hoodie without a zip front?
I think that is a hoodie or a zipped hoodie.
Yeah, it must be, yeah. So I'm going to get some of those, I think. But I think I'll get them with the embroidered logo rather than the big logo.
Mark Barry.
Mark Barry, question. Hi Mike, I have an MSI GK30 keyboard. Cool, I used to have one of those. The USB connectors come out the molded rubber plug thingy. It's only a year old. Didn't think the quality was worth. Didn't think the quality was great. Worth fixing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would fix it. You can take those apart quite easily.
Fix it.
Yeah, those come apart quite easily. You can gain access to the inside. I'm pretty sure I had a GK30 that was sent to me by MSI, and there was some weird bug with it where every now and then I'd turn it on and the lights would just go on the fritz completely, and they sent another one, and I'm not sure if that did as well, but I think it was more to do with the software than it was the keyboard, but it might just be a loose connection. But yeah, definitely worth doing. Shreko C says pullover equals hoodie, zipper equals zip hoodie. Ah, got you.
Told you.
Thank you. Xbox Gamers, does RAM have to exactly match though? Because my old 2x8 gig sticks of RAM seems to be discontinued. Yeah, if you want, if you want to have a simple life, buy matched RAM. You can get away with not doing matched RAM, but it's never easy. You have to make some compromises, and probably you have to dial in XMP settings manually and try and work out which is the faster or the slower, and dial your settings into the slower one. Lucky Man says my t-shirts lasted ages, and hoodies well, and hoodie well, and all the merch I have. Well, we try and make it so that the merch is actually pretty decent quality. I get it from a company which supplies, well, the stuff that we do ourselves here that we ship out comes from the same company that does things for like ASUS, Jaguar, Daimler, loads of like high-end companies. So it is a little bit more expensive, but it's pretty good stuff. Blasting, high. Where is?
2 more up. What's your opinion?
Hey, what's my opinion on the i7-17700F? I'd be honest with you, I don't really have an opinion per se. The thing is with the 10th and 11th gen Intel is we're in 13th gen now. 14th gen likely going to be on a new motherboard. So if you're building a new system, if it's cheap, do it. It's fine. It's a good processor. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're building new, I would probably go, I don't know. It's a tough one. It depends on a lot of options. Pricing, what you've got already, all those kind of usual things really. But from what I can tell, it's an absolutely fine processor, runs well. And if it's at a good price, then there isn't really a bad processor. It's more a case of a bad price. I guess someone said that actually. I think someone famous said that. There's never a bad product, just a bad price. So it's actually right. If there is something which is crap, if it's cheap enough, then it's fine. Where we go?
Raz Gaming.
James Brock, no answer to how one gets 15 gig of RAM without getting 16. I don't. Where was that question?
Said they have 15 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, if you've got 15 gigs of RAM, that means that you've probably got a processor which has got onboard graphics. So it's allocating 1 gigabyte of your RAM to the video adapter, even if it's an onboard one, or maybe it's disabled even.
Andre and he's put, my computer is using 15 gigs of RAM, as in actually using it, and it has 32 gigs of it.
Ah, right, got you.
But
okay.
Can you Raz Gaming, best gaming monitor?
Raz Gaming, best gaming monitor. When it comes to best gaming monitor under 200, but at least 144 Hz. Wife needs an upgrade. Haha. Depends how big a monitor you want. If you want a small one, or relatively small, then the AOC G4 24-inch. That's pretty nice. I think that's a 240 Hz. Or they do the G7 version, which is the 27-inch version, which might be 144 Hz. Similar-ish price, about 200. If you want something bigger, the one I use on my desk actually, the electric, the 32-inch 1440p 165 Hz. I use it every day for gaming. It's absolutely fine. And it's massive. So I can sit back here if I want to. I don't. I sit right up next to it. Hugh says, I've had good luck with G-Skill's Ripjaws. Yeah, they've actually been good. I've had those a couple of times and they've always been alright. Even in the DDR3 era where things were always a little bit iffy. UglyBob says the Yamaha Black Eagle 27 monitors are really good for the price. Yeah, I was always looking for a Black Eagle. I wanted the Black Eagle 24 at one point, but they were out of stock.
Xbox gamer.
Mike, have you ever successfully removed the Ryzen CPU from AM4 socket? When you removed the CPU cooler for a better one, I haven't. I have successfully removed a CPU once or twice. The secret to taking, I've done a video on this. The secret of your CPU not getting stuck is first, don't use the stock paste that comes with pretty much any cooler, especially the stock cooler. But the other thing is to use a very, very, very thin smear of thermal interface compound. Literally get a spreader, razor if you want to, and just do a really, really light coating on there. It only needs to fill the voids. It doesn't need to be like a big sandwich. And that sandwich is what creates that glue effect, because obviously it hardens, it congeals, especially around the edges as well. And the AM4 socket hasn't got any real retention. It's a ZIF socket, or zero insertion force. So even when you lock the arm down, the processor isn't really locked in as such. It's only just held in. It's basically, if you imagine the pins are going down like that, when you push the bar down, it basically puts another pin against it and just pushes it slightly to make a contact. So that's open, that's closed. So there's nothing literally holding it in. So a very, very thin amount of paste and your cooler will come off almost by the time you've undone the screws.
UglyBob meant Black Hawk.
A Black Hawk,
and
yeah.
I missed 69 people in the watching as well, because you took too long.
Sorry.
Somebody said something, I can't remember where it was now.
Brass Gaming says, yeah, I'll take a look at that. Cool, cool, cool.
Dutch John says it's about William Bodie's birthday, but we already wished him
Yes.
birthday.
Yeah, it's William Bodie's birthday. He's now an older person than he was yesterday.
He's got the key of the door.
He's 21 now. Tristan G says, Mike said paste, nerd. Is that a quote or a meme from Jump Street? I think it might be. If it is, I did get it. If not,
You got it wrong.
I've got it completely wrong, and I am a nerd. And I'm not double strapping. That would obviously be related to that same meme.
Tell William that James Brock wished him happy birthday.
Oh yeah, James Brock says, happy birthday William Bodie, in brackets, even though I cannot see anything you type. William, if you've accidentally blocked James Brock, or intentionally blocked him, yeah, I'm just telling you. Aletta says, James Brock, I have 64 gigs of RAM because I work huge photos on Photoshop and it uses a lot of RAM. It does. Yes, it does. Right, I think, yes, we've done just over 3 hours, I think. Is it over 3 hours? Jesus Christ, oh blimey.
Your donkey's got no back legs.
I have talked the legs off the donkey. The donkey is going to be going around on its front legs, just like dragging his ass around. Donkey ass.
That's quite good for you.
Hugh Luttrell, if you give the cooler a twist instead of a lift in, I've never had a problem removing a AMD cooler. It's all been at it since the 90s. Cool, cool, cool. William Bodie says, thank you very much. How do I unblock? Still don't know. Right, if you go to unblock someone, you'd have to go into...
He's on a phone, I think. Are you on a phone or a PC?
Yeah, if you're on a phone or a PC, it's going to be different. I think if you on a PC. How do you unblock someone on YouTube? It's in...
Can you just hold down? Oh, because you can't see the name,
You can't see name. Let's have a look. Bob says, to be fair, the first 2 minutes were in silence. That is true. Let me see if I can fix this for the two chats. If you go to your YouTube dashboard.
I'm on a PC.
Right, go to your account. And so your icon in the top right hand corner, your little logo. And if you go to, it's probably going to be in your channel, isn't it? Even if you haven't got a channel. Where is it? Is it settings at the bottom there? Yeah, there's a settings cog in the bottom left. And if you go to community, in settings, you've got hidden, excuse me, hidden users. There's a section that says automated filters, defaults, and channel guidelines. And for us, it says moderators, but you may not have that if you have not got a channel. If you go to scroll down, you've got approved users, which will be someone that can do stuff on your channel. But underneath that, you've got hidden users. So in mine, there's Evelyn Mark, Ava C, Nico, Big Man, lots of people that have been just arseholes. So if you want to be able to see them...
Slow please, mine is all in Danish.
Oh, right, okay. I'm not sure if I can actually show you this on...
Legend Edge is in.
Hey Legend Edge, how you doing? I wonder if there is a YouTube video on it actually. How to unblock on YouTube. Alright, yeah, you can go to another thing. So you can go to myaccount.google.com/block list. I'll copy that into the chat. So paste. There we go. That is from support.google.com. And yeah, that should do it. That was the first page I come up with. So you can unblock users. I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. I've never tried it, but if someone wants to try it, make sure it's okay. That should be how to do it. If not, there is a copy. I'll paste this into the chat as well. So there is a full instructional guide, so you can follow it along at your leisure. If maybe just click on it and keep hold of it.
Leisure? Why did you say
leisure?
Weird things?
I don't know, because I've watched TV for too many years and watched other people say it, and it just, you get these little brain worms that just... Aspartame. Cheers, Glam. And the Freedom House, 1984, says, hi all, hi, how you doing? And JB's Arcade Mod says, love your accent, Mike and Calf. I have all day, well not all day, this is a little cordless microphone, which, if I turn this on now, not sure how that's going to affect actually. Is that going to make things sound echoey? I don't know if it will or not.
Touch Poppy and get her to do it.
Is this going to make things echoey?
Touch Poppy and make her do her roar.
William Bodie says, did unlock or unblock, but can't find James here. It might be you need to... So James Brock says, I see now.
Yes, echoey.
Yes, echoey, okay. So, Kath, have that over there.
I touch Poppy and let her do it. Touch her. Oh, she's not going to do it.
No. Cruelty to animals. Okay. So if that's echoey, I do apologise. I know what it is because you can set this to mono and stereo. The theory was I was going to give this to Kath so that she could actually read out comments and questions and sound like professional and shit. Anyway.
That mic is dull.
No, but that mic is dull. It's the same. It's actually the same one as I'm using, but I've got my my lav plugged into it, so it's the same one. But you can plug in a mic if you want to, or you can just use it with the pop shield and use it as a built-in microphone, like the Rode video mics. I've actually got a couple of sets of these. I'm very tempted because Adamant IT, who kind of is almost sort of a friend of the channel, he's got some Rode video mics which he keeps having problems with. So I might actually, I've got a set of these spare, so I might send them in so he can have better sound, possibly. Aletta says, I've watched so much BBC America that I hardly notice British accents.
Shrek.
What? I didn't see.
Mike and Kath are in good company with Kathy Barry and Justin Lee Collins.
That's true. That's true. Yep, Kathy Barry actually doesn't live too far from here. And actually, I've been to her dad's house. Kathy Barry's father. I went round to fix his computer.
But he didn't like that you knew his daughter.
I know. I went in and I kind of knew who Kathy Barry was, and there was a picture of her on her wedding day on the mantelpiece. And I was like, oh, Kathy Barry. And you could tell he's like, well, we don't really talk about it. I was like, okay. Say no more. I'll fix your PC and fuck off, shall I? Thank you for the 420 blazing, Glenn. James Brock says, no kidding. Yeah, actually, Michelle Thorne, who's another local adult actress, let's say, actually went to school with her. She was in the year below me at school. Yeah, it was weird seeing her on a daily basis and then her career. Very bizarre. And actually, they, Kathy Barry and Michelle Thorne, when we used to drink in a pub in Staple Hill, which is near us, because they, well, Michelle Thorne lives in, what road is it?
You can't tell people's addresses, can you?
Right. Well, basically she lives in a road, if you go to the end of our road, a little bit further, basically it's not far. It's about a mile, 2 miles away, if that. And Kathy Barry lives in Cock Road. Awesome. That is great. I'm allowed to say that.
I don't think you're allowed to give out people's addresses.
I don't say the exact address. But I think there's ironic. UglyBob says, Michelle Thorne, I see her on a daily basis. Well, I used to see her on a daily basis when we were at school. But yeah, we used to bump into her on in Miss Millie's. Basically, it's like a KFC, but Bristolian version. And you sometimes go in there. I did once or twice.
She used to come in that spa place where my friend used to work.
Poppy, stop keying the board.
And when she got home, she was like, oh, she came in and bought a bottle of wine tonight. When it was on the telly.
No, Babs? No, not fighting. Screw you, hippie, and your bloody long claws.
We do like a live chat after the stream. I go on that.
Yeah. Lucky Man 1 says, we want Calf live, no chance. Calf says if we get over £16,000 super chats, she will dress up as Mrs. Santa for the Christmas. Thorne. Yeah, she'll dress up as Michelle Thorne for the Christmas Eve stream. James Brock says, your cats have front claws? They do. Got lots of them. Many of them.
He pops.
Yeah, it was quite... Michelle Thorne, it was quite funny because one of our friends, Dave, who was...
he has actually subscribed to the channel, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is subscribed. I won't say it too much then. But at school, Michelle was always chasing after him, like wanted to go out with him, and he just, like, no, turned her down. Whereas there's probably quite a few gentlemen that would have jumped at the chance. Rick H says, let me check my savings.
I still won't do it, so keep your savings. Thank you.
Nick Barnes says, Mubster's Christmas Chronicles. William Boney said, I did look up Michelle Thorne and I did puke. Hopefully it was in your mouth, not your trousers. Lucky Man says, woo, oh my god, we all want to go for it now. Sub now. James Brock says, have to look up this Thorne girl. She is Michelle Thorne is in the adult entertainment industry. So obviously if you do search, or for Kathy Barry for that matter, obviously the results that you get may be adult in theme. In fact, they're very likely to be.
I'm pretty sure she's got an E on the end of her name.
Who's that, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Michelle with the E.
No, Thorne on the E.
Oh, Thorne E, yeah. James Brock's like doing it now. It'll go quiet now, all the subscribers, it'll drop off now. William Bodie says, she is ugly AF, that's why hashtag UglyBob see her every day. I'm not sure if there's something lost in the translation there, but it's funny anyway. Michael Craig says she does the squishy no pants dance for a living. Yeah, amongst other things, I think, yeah.
She was on X Factor once.
Yeah, she was actually, yeah, she did do X Factor. She used to sing the national anthem for the Bristol American Football Club. And she then went on to X Factor, or one of those things, and was actually on X Factor.
She did get through. Because she flirted with Simon.
Yeah. David Thompson says, I used to chat regularly with Joe Guest online for a long time. James Brock's like, my goodness. JB's Arcade Mods. Let's move on from that swiftly. I've got my Ryzen 3600 and ASUS Prime B450-A2 Mobo and GTX 1660 Super. I have no idea if the Mobo will accept that CPU out of the box though. ASUS boards in general, you're probably going to be okay because there is a date stamp or manufacturing date on the corner, on the barcode. So you can kind of work from there to see when the 3600 came out and if the BIOS will be up to date. Really random reviews. My claim to fame is Kat Deely. She lived by me as a kid. Aww. Tristan G, I went to the weed store this morning and got some nice buds and some edibles. So, smiley face. Really random uses. Wish we had a weed store. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on weed. Being that I used to ingest it heavily as a young person.
Not ingest.
Well, yeah, inhale. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it will be a good thing for the UK or not to be more openly available. I think we've got enough problems as it is. Which I can't believe I'm actually saying that, because I would have, maybe 5-10 years ago, I would have been massively in favour. But I think, I don't know, maybe now is not the right time. James Brock says, good source of tax revenue. Yeah, I think that is probably what the UK government would be looking at. Cheers, William. Lucky Man says, what is that AIOS in the back setup? That is the Deepcool LT720. It's very cool. James Brock says, sorry Mike, not listening to you at this point. Getting no worries. Tristan G says, legalising weed makes things better. It does, but there are, much like with alcohol, there are people that are not good with substances. So for a large majority of people, they're going to be cool and they're going to have the odd puff now and then, and they'll be absolutely fine. But on the flip side of it, there's going to be complete arseholes who are going to get absolutely wasted and destroy themselves and those around them. So it's a really, really tight balancing act, that if you make something even more easy or accessible, you've also got to take into consideration there's going to be people that are not going to do well on whatever it is you're making easily accessible. We see it with alcohol every day. There's the NHS here in the UK is basically crammed to the rafters with people with alcohol addiction or substance abuse. You only got to go to any hospital or A&E on a Friday, Saturday night, and it's basically mostly pissheads having things removed from them that shouldn't be there, or getting stitched up because they've fallen over or whatever. So it does have a negative effect. And I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but it's true. You've got to kind of look for it from both sides. As much as I'm against prohibition and anything being regulated, I think we should all have our own choices. There's a lot of people in this world that just simply aren't fit or unable to make sensible choices. Wow, I sound like an old person.
But then, if you grew your own, it probably wouldn't be as...
Yeah, I think that a lot of the stuff now, the weed that's on the market now is just ridiculously strong. I don't think it's even anywhere remotely similar to the kind of strength that Kath and I would have had as in our 20s or 30s.
Or 40s.
Or 40s. But yeah, I think the new stuff is just like ridiculously strong. I think if you could just grow your own from seeds, like normal real seeds from the outside world, natural ones, and not this kind of genetically modified stuff, I think it'd be absolutely cool. But yeah, I think it's like anything. If you drink like super strong alcohol, like back in the 80s, we had a real big problem with Special Brew, which was a really strong lager, which people would get absolutely out of their trolley on. Whereas they'd be fine with normal lager.
Mad Dog.
Yeah, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog?
Mad Dog kind of, that's a fortified wine sort of thing, isn't it?
Is it, what, red and blue?
Yeah. And then that was Thunderbird.
Yeah.
God, that was awful. Really random review says it might be our mileage mic is clocking up these days. I think it is. Xbox Gamer says, Mike, you're getting old. You must be almost 40 years old. I am almost. You're very right. I'm fine. Like, I'm quite happy to smoke weed, but I know that there's going to be people out there, they're going to have other issues with it as well. Insecurity, paranoia. If you smoke really, really strong weed a lot, constantly, I've seen people that's had a negative effect on. Especially those that are really hammering it. And it depends who you are. Like some people, they have the right chemical balance in their brain that are absolutely fine. Next day, absolutely fine, get up, go to work, do whatever. But there's others that it affects in a different way and they are unable to function in society. It's just a simple, it is a fact of life. And again, I don't like things being restricted. Speech, products, anything. We should all be free individuals to do what we like, but there are people, like I said, there's people out there which either don't react well, can't react well, or just want to watch the world burn. And it's those people that you have to have the restrictions for to some extent, which unfortunately means everyone gets restricted. Tristan G says, I'm almost 63 years old. Don't argue about weed though. If you smoke, you smoke. That's it. You make choice of potency. You don't have to smoke strong stuff.
You do if you can't get hold of it.
It's, yeah. That is a valid argument, Tristan. You are right. The majority on the market that you can buy, I would argue locally, is all the high strength stuff, because obviously the higher strength stuff sells better. So if you wanted the old school chill out weed where you can just chill and just have a nice little buzz, that's actually really difficult to get hold of unless you grow your own. So yeah, I agree. You don't have to keep on smoking it, or you can smoke a lot less. But yeah,
I don't know. We smoked it.
A lot of people don't have that restraint.
Didn't we?
Lucky Man says, who said that? Michael Cray says, I've been smoking weed for 20 years and I'm, what? I'll be honest with you, I smoked it from probably 16 or so up until
2015, I think we gave up, didn't we?
yeah, until about 2015. So on and off for probably a good 20 years or so.
Knocking 30, I think.
About 20 years. And I can say, hand on heart, my mental clarity is considerably better now than it was back then. Whether it was caused because of that, or whether it was external factors, I couldn't say 100%. But I do know that things like paranoia and depression and stuff like that do seem to follow with relatively heavy weed usage, or consistent weed usage anyway. That's my opinion. David Thompson, druggies are growing weed in the flat above mine. Cops don't give a damn. I think cops have got better things to deal with now. Michael Crace says, I've been saying for a while that we're in the moonshine era of marijuana. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Lucky Man says, I can't take the smell of the crap now, hate it. I used to like it a lot, but now if I smell it, it's kind of, it seems to smell a lot more pungent than it used to. I don't mind it, I don't dislike it, but it doesn't smell as enticing as I think it used to. But Tristan G says, how well's your musicianship like? I'm not a musician at all. I think my teacher at music school said I was tone deaf. Not sure what that meant, I wasn't listening. JB's Arcade Mods, I just got the MSI Vigor GK50 Elite off eBay, 50 quid, result. Awesome stuff. Xbox Gamer says, Mike, your mental clarity on computers is great. I followed your tuitions so many times when building PCs. Actually, something else as well. I would say when you're doing weed, same as alcohol really, if you have, I don't want to word this right, I want to say goals and ambitions. I think motivation is something which goes if you are regularly using weed or alcohol for that matter.
But that might just be your personal experience.
Might be my experience. I think weed in general is known as making people chilled out, and you don't really want to do a great deal. So you're quite happy just to sit there watching a movie, eating whatever, getting the munchies. Yeah, it happens. We do it. It's a thing. I found that if I wanted to get things done, smoking weed was not the way for me to do it, because it just gave me another excuse to put things off, or I'll do it later. And I think for me, weed made me lose motivation. I still got up, went to work, did my job, etc. But if I had the opportunity when I got home to not do anything and just veg in front of the computer, I would do that rather than I would go and fix the car, vacuum, paint the house, whatever. The chores that you don't necessarily want to do, and I find that weed give me an excuse not to, personally, but I don't know. Freedom House says, weed lowers my ambition. Okay, it's kind of, I guess that's what it's for. Weed was always kind of designed as one of those things to chill you out, to relax you, to mellow you out. So if you are trying to get something done in your life, having something which is a natural kind of, not a downer, but something which is going to take the edge off a little bit, maybe even take the edge off your personality as well, because you're a little bit less social, because maybe people aren't on the same sort of wavelength as you.
Then times were different then.
Yeah.
paranoia.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Anyway, I'm not meaning to offend anybody, and obviously if you smoke weed or you drink or whatever, whatever you like doing, make sure you do it. For me personally, I just feel that if I like drinking alcohol, I get side effects from both physically, and I lose my mental clarity, definitely. For at least for a couple of days I've had a good drink, which if you're making YouTube videos, it's hard enough as it is to talk and maintain focus, whereas if you've got a bit of a muzzy head as well, it's almost impossible to do. So there are reasons why but whether I miss it, I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't know. Shrek says, weed is hard on my mind, alcohol is hard on my body. I think is that a famous phrase? I'm sure I've heard that before. But if not, I would agree. Really Random Review says, I never understood the paranoia side. I guess everyone is different. I think my paranoia mostly was because when I started, like, we're talking 1990. That's a long time ago. And back then, probably actually, it might even be before that. It was late 80s. And back then, it was a very different scene. And it was a very different thing for parents as well. If you were, I don't know, yeah. I guess it was just a different thing. So you didn't want people to know. And I get really bloodshot eyes when I'm stoned. Like super bloodshot. So people can tell. So I would naturally try and keep away from people or avoid eye contact. And if you're a little bit on the kind of autistic spectrum, possibly, you're naturally like not the most confident and outgoing people anyway. So smoking weed, I think for me, made me feel even slightly more reclusive, which is never good for your mind anyway. You kind of get very introverted. But anyway. Xbox Gamer says, so the big question to you, Mike, is could you be such an accomplished YouTuber if you smoked weed a lot? I personally don't think so. Because I think that like making a video for release almost every single day takes quite a lot of dedication and motivation to actually do, and it's really hard. So
it doesn't sound it, but it is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work and a lot to go on, and researching and all that stuff, and actually answering questions. You think if you answered the questions on one video, that could be time consuming. I think we've done nearly 2,000 videos. So you can imagine the different gamut of questions that we get on stuff. It is quite taxing. And if you're like a bit stoned or a bit hungover, even remembering some of the stuff you've done is really hard work. And it'd be so easy to just go delete, 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 or ignore. But I don't. Dutch Jan says, life was less rushed in the 90s. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. There was very much a 24-hour news cycle then, whereas now it's like a 20-minute news cycle. Kieran says, cannabis is like any other substance. Abuse it and it will abuse you. People respond to everything very differently. Yeah, they definitely do.
And this is your and our personal circumstances.
Yeah. Matthew Day says, let Mike get some sleep. Yeah, I should do actually. I've got to be out for work in the morning. Which is something, if I was stoned, I wouldn't be doing. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, oh, I can't be bothered. Back to bed.
CBD is great. It blocks the pain. Don't know how a lotion can work into the bones, but it does. Same with magnesium oil. Yeah,
magnesium oil works like CBD. Probably, I would argue, slightly better.
You may even be able to mix the two together.
Yeah, put the two together. That'd be awesome. Michael Craig says, it makes people content with boredom, gives you the best ideas but no motivation to make them happen. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, quite often I would finish my day's work, come home, have something to eat, have a smoke, and literally just sit in front of YouTube for hours and hours and hours until it's time for bed. And just not really even pay much attention to what I was watching. There you go. I can't even read that. Is that Javok? Hello, Mike. I am using Ryzen 27X and I am perfectly fine for gaming using programs. How long do you think I can use it? You probably should be able to use it until Windows dictates that you can't. I think we're going to get to a point where Windows will start locking out some processors at points because of things like TPM or certain instruction sets or security add-ons that they support or don't support. 2700X, you should be okay for the foreseeable. I think probably another 3 years, 2-3 years. Depends what you're doing. If your PC starts feeling slow and sluggish, then it's probably worth upgrading. That'll be fine. Xbox Gamer, I love your channel, but work nights, but from now on I'll tune in on my day off. Oh, bless you.
That's Thanos. Because UglyBob always says hello to him. One you couldn't read.
Hey Thanos.
That's the one you couldn't read.
Ah, right, okay. Got you. Xbox Gamer, on Christmas Eve, what time are you going live? I'm not entirely sure. It will possibly be the same time, I think. Is your mum coming around? Do you know?
Hmm?
Is your mum coming around?
On Christmas Day?
No, Christmas Eve.
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything specifically going on. I don't know if I might do something a bit different. Maybe we might plan to do something, but it might be a little bit earlier. I will try and give you all a reasonable amount of notice, to let you know. But otherwise, it'll be the same. Oh, Thanos. Got you. Nice one.
I thought you weren't understanding.
I get it now. Thanos. Please try not to snap us out of existence. You've probably heard that a million times.
Remember your doorbell gets the tune quiz. Oh, remember we did that?
I do remember that, yeah.
That was cool.
Guess the tune. God. Xbox Gamer says, I'm off Christmas Eve. I will tune in. Love your vibe. Oh, thank you very much. James Brock says, Thor chopped Thanos' head off. Bad Thor.
We did that really early, Bob.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Bob.
Right, it is coming up to midnight here, and I have literally got to be up in a few hours to go to work. And I need a piss. So I think we'll wrap things up there. Hopefully you've had a relatively enjoyable Saturday evening. I know these streams are always going on longer and longer, and we try and fix on one thing and then we go off onto other tangents. I want you all to feel like this is kind of like your home from home. So in the times where there may be bad weather or nothing to do, or you can't afford to go out, or lockdowns, whatever it might be, or you're just bored and lonely or just want to hang out, this is what I want our Saturday night streams to be. A little bit of fun, we can chat to each other, talk about anything that's on our minds, obviously try and centre it around some tech at some point, but basically just have like just a friendly bit of banter and just bounce ideas off each other, which is all part of what being a community is. I'm going to try not to dictate the way things go, but I will try and steer the ship a little bit if I can. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and it's nice to hear from you guys, let you know what your lives are about, your experiences, what your thoughts are on all sorts of things: weed, alcohol, PC parts, porn stars, whatever. I'm I'm happy to get involved with that kind of stuff. And massive thanks to everyone who's sent in super chats. All of you that are members and are continuing to be members, awesome, thank you very much. If you do want to be a member, but you want to save a little bit of money, you can always use Patreon. I know some people don't like using Patreon for whatever reason, I get it, whatever. Patreon is slightly better for creators because we get basically 90% of the money or 95% of the money, whereas YouTube obviously do take an overhead on what we get. But whatever you want to do, however you want to support the channel, even if it's just going to videos, smashing the like button, hitting subscribe, even just sharing the videos, all of that stuff is massively helpful.
And thanks, Lucky Man, for...
Yeah, and thanks Lucky Man for bringing in some newbies tonight. That's awesome stuff. And oh, I was going to say something else then.
Sorry.
No, it's gone.
Sorry.
The power of the piss is overwhelming the power to think, unfortunately. So yes, thank you all for joining us. You've all been amazing. It's really cool to speak to you all. If you want to continue chatting to us in text or on voice chat, we do have a Discord chat server, which I may have mentioned once or twice before, so you're more than welcome to join there. You're all more than welcome as long as you don't be dicks. Or whatever the female version of that is. I don't know. Could be anything. Anyway, thank you all very much. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. I need to automate this. I know what, there is a new program out which actually makes this whole thing work a little bit easier, which I'm going to get Calf to control. That should be fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next week. Cheers.